Divine, gracious rising. As you come in, drop that ashe. Wasted in disguise. Wasted in the disguise. Not understanding the disguise that we have wasted ourselves upon. I'm gonna get out some hard copy notes, and then I'm gonna take my shot because I just brought a shot to the ancestors, to my people, to my spiritual advisories. You can't have. I made a couple posts on my Facebook. You can't have Eve without Lilith. Understanding the correspondence in between the light and the dark is the way to understand it. Your grandmother needed that fix from your grandfather, or your mother or your father wouldn't be here. Everything came into play as it needed to for you to get to this point. Everything that needed to come into play played out for a reason. The cause and the effect. Every cause has an effect, every effect has a cause. Everything that's happened up to this point within your life has led you to moments that are based upon the traumatic event or your intuition. Your intuition leads off of understanding. Your intuition is always hungry for understanding, looking for the reason for something to happen. As we're stepping out of the disguise, we're going to be stepping into the focuses tonight. I'm going to be going over the focuses of understanding what it is to step out of, what it is to be aware and taking yourself to the next level. The things that will stop you and ways and counterparts and ways to understand your true purposing, especially with shadow work, especially everything that is most important point. And I wanted to throw out something that was really funny to me. And I thought about it after I saw the post, because that's more of the same. For every 500 some odd people that are, it's getting darker, I might even turn the light back on depending. For every 500 people that are not shown slain, they give you one. For every thing that they show you, there's always a multitude behind it that it doesn't matter. Hidden behind the disguise to make you believe and to make you connect to something, to make you become something. I am going to turn the light on. To make you believe something is coming or something has advanced, in that aspect, it has to be, it's always in their best interest. Nothing succeeds or surpasses your thought. Nothing surpasses your mind. Nothing surpasses the thoughts of your mind. Nothing surpasses it. Nothing can go past, nothing can exist without your mental stamp. Remember, I always say your energy is the signature. Your energy is the power source. Your attention is the signature within whatever it may be. So if in my thought process, in my mind, my mental, how my mind goes together, how my mind elevates, everything that I do, I'm no longer stuck. And we're going to get deeper into this tonight. I'm not stuck in the aspects of time. Coming into understanding, a good book to pick up, a couple of good books, The Serpent Power, that's always a good book. The Magician is always a great book to start with. But we're going outside of the aspects of understanding time. That's our aspect of what we're going outside of. We're going outside of time. We're going outside of the constraints that leave you in the human archetype, the things that leave you locked down. And tonight we're gonna get into a lot of the things that get people locked down into this humanity aspect and just giving a fuck. There's a certain point in time you just don't give a fuck. And that not giving a fuck is what is going to be needed for you to surpass where you've been locked and bound into. But before we get to that point, to my ancestors, known and unknown, to my ancestors' spirits, the energy that I invoke, blessings to the fire, as I we're getting into the understanding of our higher self on a higher level, on a higher plane. Coming into this aspect, simple things are going to change in your disguise. Your disguise, as I've said before, you have your identity and you have your identity. Your identity has been built. Your identity has been put upon. Your identity is built upon everything that you were indoctrinated into, everything that you believe, everything that you were put into a certain aspect of yourself. That's what your identity is. Your identity is your life. Your identity is life. When we look at, everybody wants to talk about the first half of the tree. There's two trees. Remember, you can't have Eve without Lilith. You can't have Set without Horus. You can't have one without the other. The aspect is not picking a side to which one you want to be. It's understanding how they both connect and how they reflect to each other, because that's where the truth lies. A lot of us get stuck on the book of the Kabbalah, which is the aspect of the tree of life. We get stuck in those ciphers, and in those ciphers have been brought forth your zodiac, all of your light powers, everything that's based upon light. But in order to have a true depth, you must understand that the dark is the light. From the dark brings new light. There's the tree behind the tree of life that you only can get through Darth. And I broke that. A lot of this stuff we broke down this week in the podcast. Going even deeper than that. But taking this thought process into your mind and into your mental, the tree of Quilloth is the tree behind the tree. That is the tree of knowledge. The tree of Quilloth is the tree of knowledge, the tree of inner self. Everything within you is everything outside of you is, at a certain point in time, when you are disconnecting from it, it becomes a negative aspect. Similar to everything outside of you, when you get to a certain point, becomes a negative aspect. And for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, for a couple of time now, I always ask the question, I always pose the question to you. If you no longer need or no longer subservient to the energy or the conduit of how your energy is given to you within a space. So if you are around certain individuals and they know you, what they knew you for based on your identity no longer holds weight because you transition from that space, what are you to them? Remember, duality and polarity, you went from being the negative, you went from being the positive to the negative. You no longer hold a charge in that space. So all you have left is the disguise. So you disguise yourself, and this is some of the aspects of when I'm working with new clients and just consulting and having those conversations. One of the biggest things that when you're coming into yourself, we get stuck on this imagery that I put up a post the other day, and it said, when you start embracing your spiritual self, your spirituality, your true self, start going into yourself, your physical appearance drastically changes. And I wanted to go deeper into that because remember, everything that you do below is slowed down in comparison to the speed and the vibration of it happening above. That means in your mental and your spiritual self. Therefore, if you are untrained, you have not trained your mind, you have not trained yourself to deal with certain aspects of certain things, you're looking for exactly what you got. You're looking for exactly for what you're getting in this level. So, use an example. I did my meditation earlier. I do a meditation right before I do any lecture. Syncing myself to everything, slowing down my heart rate, slowing down my rhythm, slowing down my heart rate. So I'm crossing that path of death. And I'm crossing and I'm syncing with all the energy that's in my space. I'm syncing with everything that's in my space. I'm syncing with this example. I'm syncing with the flower. I'm syncing with my skulls. I'm syncing with Basset. I'm syncing with Ambu. I'm syncing with my candles. I'm syncing with the ancestors. I'm syncing with everything that's within my space because all of this is my energy. This energy is protected by me because I protect my energy. This energy is nurtured by me because in reflection, I nurture myself. So when I put myself into these aspects, when you start invoking this energy and bringing this energy down, the chaos and the disruption that it causes above is going to be in physical representation down below. So one thing that I thought about, that has become a big no-no for myself. It's a big no-no for myself. One thing that I came into realizing, I was looking at the Tekashi 6ix9ine shit. And I looked at the Tekashi 6ix9ine shit, and when I look at things, I look at it from the aspect of as an occultist and I'm studying. And the amount of energy that he has gained in doing what he did does not matter. What he did not matter. He's doing exactly what is needed within that script because we're still holding on to this aspect of, I can't believe that we're allowing something into our space that we used to own. It's on we used to own type fucking basis. You already had the shit. You already had it. We already had rap music. We already had the blues. We already had rock and roll. We are the creators of all things. You feel me? When something is no longer beneficial to you, when something no longer benefits you, everything that comes after that thought, this is no longer beneficial to me, this no longer serves me, it doesn't give me this vibe, it doesn't give me what I need, it's not feeding me, I'm not fulfilled when I'm within it. Everything about it turns into the negative aspect of it. What you saw as positive has now become negative. So I'm looking at Tekashi 6ix9ine, and I saw this interview on my Instagram, and the guy was like, I just don't want him to have any attention. I don't want him to have any attention. I don't want no bodily harm done to him. I don't want nothing happening to him. Nothing. I just don't want him to have any more fucking attention. By you saying and stating to something, no matter if it's negative or positive, you picking a side, you're giving it attention and energy. Whether your energy is in a positive intent or your energy is in negative intent, you're giving that shit energy. I didn't listen to Tekashi 6ix9ine then. I don't listen to him now. For me to voice an opinion on this character in this game, in this script, it shows my, even if it's from a negative aspect of I don't care about it. When you don't care for some shit, when you don't give a fuck about some shit, guess what? You don't say anything. We've been taught imagery and to speak. When you are in tune with yourself, when you're in tune with yourself and when you're in that love, the self-realization of yourself, you don't have to answer those questions. Your energy will do it for you. And this is where we get stuck in. A lot of the times we try to put ourselves within these definitions and defining these characteristics of something that we're standing against or standing for, standing against, not knowing that once you isolate something and give it a definition and give it a name and a title and a definition, that shit only can exist within that space. That's not something that's abnormal. All he's doing is externally living off of the energy. That's all he's doing, is living off of the energy. Great work, bravo. He's living off of the energy. When you get to a certain space, your disguise, you submit to the attributes. All he's doing unconsciously is submitting to the attributes of the ideal and feeding from the fucking energy. Just like motherfuckers get mad at Trump. Trump's submitting himself to the attributes of the ideal and feeding upon the energy. In the disguise. Because there's already been a disguise built in for him to exist. He's staying true to his base behavior. They're staying true to their base behavior, their characteristics that are of them that they have mastered unconsciously. By you living in your truth, the mind, remember, the mind being all and everything being mental. Most important aspect. Very big aspect in this, in that Hermetic law. And nothing surpasses your mind. So your thoughts, your ideals, everything that you put into that alignment, that thought form that you create, you now must live in. Living under the disguises of what it was and not learning from it to succeed or surpass it. A lot of people get stuck in that surpassing rhythm of bullshit that is, we need our own economic plan and we need our own businesses and we need our own this and we need our businesses and we need this and that. We've already done that. If that is your purpose, that is what you're standing on, that's what you're standing by, then that's what you are to build. But that's not needed at this time. That's not a necessity within the shifting of yourself. We're getting stuck in this. We get stuck in this sentimental value system based on the fundamentals that have been programmed into your mind from eons ago. You've been down here so long, you went insane. You went critically insane. You've been down here for so fucking long. Here's something that I thought about. I don't hustle. I don't grind. I don't live under the definition of the defining of hustling. I don't live under the definition of the hustle, the grind, because those are connected to the aspect of struggle. So you can do whatever you would like, but if you're stuck under the aspect of I'm hustling, I'm a hustler, I'm grinding, I'm trying to make mine, I came from the struggle. Every time that you sit here and you make some money, you'll spend that shit as soon as you fucking get it. Because your mindset is within hustling and grinding. I'm a hustler and I'm a grinder. I'm a hustler. So you're stuck in this mindset of being a hustler. Every time I lose something, I get it right back. That's what I always said. I've said that before. It never went to depth. I never had that atonement to actually think going deeper into it. But you're not learning from what the fuck's around you. Whenever you think about legacies, whenever you think about a legacy, whenever you think about the lineage, the family lineage, and I'm going to use Trump's family lineage as an example. You thought about, they spoke of his grandfather being the man with the ideas. They spoke of his grandfather being the man with the ideas. His father was the man with the plan. Trump was the man with the ingenuity and the drive to take everything across Manhattan and build hotels and Trump Towers everywhere else. When you're thinking, you're no longer in the mindset. We're not thinking of when we think in a subjective thought into, we go back to the past and then we recall back to the future. We come to the present. So our mindset, a normal black people conversation that I've heard in barbershops is, you hear that barbershop talk, you hear that talk, is your father was a hard worker, your grandfather was a hard worker, your great-great-grandfather, you came from a line of workers. Nowhere in that line do you understand that why were they only workers? Why did nobody evolve? Why did anybody shift? Because the one before them was told you came from a great line of workers. The one before them, you came from a great line of lineage of slaves. So if you're only taught this on the base level within the home, your disguise always will be the evolution to being a hustler or the grinder or the one that's putting his feet to the ground to make that shit work, make that shit happen. Losing, I bring that shit right the fuck back. While in the Tamahu world, your grandfather was a great thinker, your father was a great builder. You have the aspects of both of those within you. So with your great ideas and your ability to build and the lineage of being an idea mate, one with ideas and one with ideals and one with the ability to put plans to action, and your drive, that driving you, you're going to see the utmost best things within the world. There's no hope within that. That's written down. That's category. They can go back and see that shit. But if your mindset is only stuck on an aspect of survival, if your mindset is only stuck on the aspect of surviving from something and making it past something, everything you'll do will be based on fucking survival. Everything you will do will be based upon this mindset of, as long as I'm doing this, I'm good. As long as I have my place and this and this and this, I'm good. I don't need anything else. Because if I lose any of this, I can get it all back. Because I'll just go hustle. That's the same synonymous thought process as, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do some stupid shit, but all's going to be forgiven. Why not do it at all? Why do it at all? Why put yourself in a position to where you got to fight your way out of something? You've been subjectively programmed to be put into a thought process to struggle. To stay under pressure. Your mindset is built off of pressure. So everything that you do must be built under a certain pressure. Now you have the pressure to look good when you step out. You have the pressure to speak only to gain the attention and not to lose ground. You lost the confidence in yourself, that ability, that confidence. So when you're giving something external, remember the external is the arrogance. The ego feeds off of arrogance because it's going to constantly need to feed that same space. You constantly need to be in that space to be fed from that same space, derive from that same energy. So if I'm in a space where everybody around me is in a mindset of stuck on the things that they're doing in their day-to-day, struggling, waiting for checks, waiting for this to happen, waiting for that to happen. If my energy is of a higher, if I'm on a higher frequency, my vibration, when it trickles, if I'm in that space, it's going to conform to that space because my vibration is not on the frequency that I need to be on. If I'm in this space and I'm vibrating at this high vibratory rate and I see around me nothing in this level is vibrating at that rate, and I'm ignoring my anxiety, I'm ignoring my anxiousness, I'm ignoring my intuition to fit within this space, I have to create a disguise within that space in order to sit into that space. I gotta be there. But if I'm gonna miss something, when it's nothing but the same shit that you saw last week. The same people that you saw last week are the same people you're going to see this week doing the same exact shit that they did last week. At a certain point in time, it's time to take the mask off and walk the fuck away. Take your mask off and leave it there in that space. You're no longer within that space. You're no longer of that energy. You're no longer of that environment. You have surpassed that level. You're no longer in that level. You're no longer in that space. That's why it don't fit with you. That's why you don't feel like going over there. That's why you don't feel like dealing with it. You have to look for aspects within it to go do something. Because this is where the humanity kicks the fuck in. Leave a space. I use my mother's home, for example. The things that I learned from my mother, known and unknown, conscious and unconscious, to the thought process, to the paradigm when I was around my mother. My mother is a soft-spoken woman. My mom is all about family. My mom being stuck in those aspects and not knowing how to, not having the power or understand her power of creation past having children, everything that she does within her space is upon the aspect of family. Everything that she does within her space is upon the aspect of family. Everything that she does is home cooking. Everything that she does within her space is on the aspects and the understandings of family. You dig? So outside of that, anything that's against the traditional roles of what family is and what a mother is and what a son is and what a daughter is and what these are, she can hear it, but she can't her ego cannot rationalize it to what it means. She cannot rationalize it. So she'll have to be around it more often, but the only way to be around something more often is to, after the seed has been planted, it is up to you to nurture that seed. The aspects of how my family receives money, gets their money, does their hustle, do whatever they do, is different from the aspect of what I was. So when I think about, I'm never without money. The only time that I was without money or in the aspect of not having money was when I was under the care of my mom, pops, aunts, father, uncle. I was under the constraints of them. So I had to submit to the laws of that space, the laws of that land, the laws of that realm in order to survive. I no longer need to survive in that space because I came out of that space. We're in a mindset where we're trying to survive in a space that we've long surpassed the thoughts of this space. That's where the morality kicks in of, I never could see myself doing this. I never could see myself doing that. Their love and your hate are one and the same. The energy of love and the energy of hate are one and the same. The way that the things outside of you externally value love, they value and want to see the fear and the anger and the hatred in you because it brings them love, because it brings them attention. They value the fear and the distractions of fear that are within you because it brings them love, because that love to them is attention. That's why they need you in disarray. That's why they need you at a low vibe. That's why they need you at that low vibratory rate. That's why they need you to feel that you need to do something for them to keep them to keep their attention flowing, to keep that energy flowing. The Tamahus, the oppressor that everybody wants to speak about, only exist within your mind. They exist within everything that you do not deem yourself confident enough to control or run. They are a side effect of your thoughts, of your passing thoughts and shit that don't even concern you anymore. So you're going through like your second, third, fourth, fifth, you're going through another fucking childhood phase. Because all you did, the way that they taught you based upon the subjective thought, was they gave you the aspect of your mother. You get your aspect of your mother and your father, and that's what's controlling you. That's what connects to you. And then you went into the aspect, okay, this is my mother, that's my father. All your mother boils down to is she is the daughter of another mother and the daughter of another mother and the daughter of another mother, and the shit goes back. Your father of another father, father of another father, father of another father by another father, and goes further back. What you need to understand is what brought them what characteristics that were brought into the physical did they connect to bring together that the cat's cradle that connected together to put that web that brought you into existence. That's why your moms needed that fix and your dad had the fix. Your mom looked good at that party and Marvin Gaye was playing, or Tito Puente, or whatever Florida Day Boat was playing, and they got together and had the conception of you. One big thing, if your parents are still in existence, they haven't transitioned, or you have that ability, you have tapped into your clairvoyance to be able to speak to them, ask them what their love song was. Ask them what song was playing in the thought of your conception. Ask them what song was playing during the thought of your the conception of you. Prince was playing when I was conceived. So the whole aspect of Dion being Dionys, that aspect, the archetype of that energy, and understanding the build of what Prince was, being that God in the flesh, always being what he was known for, being extra to humanity. He was extra, but being a God, he was that was God level shit. He was showing you what a God was in the flesh, being able to create in that mindset. All of those aspects tie into me. I understand now by studying over, like I looked at my natal chart again today to get some information. My South Node being in Sagittarius and my North Node being in Gemini, and understanding these aspects of my moon and my sun, and understanding these cardinal aspects and going around my chart, I understand why I'm in tune with everything that I'm doing. The aspect of you studying yourself or going within that tree to gain that knowledge, to understand the reflection of how you create yourself in your life, instead of becoming a slave to your sign. This is an aspect of becoming a slave to your sign, being a slave to the characteristics of your sign. You become a slave to something because your mindset was already cultivated to be a slave. It's just you haven't let go of that, and it becomes ever so apparent that you have not let go of that. Motherfuckers ain't let go of that shit, the slavery aspect, because you're still now a slave to something else. You're addicted to being a slave of something of some sort. You're addicted to being a slave of the hustle. You're addicted to being a slave of the grind. You're addicted to being a slave. You're addicted to having an oppressor. You're addicted to having something up over you, even when you come into your fucking consciousness. You still need something over you, but you won't acknowledge that you put the handicap there in the first place. You gave yourself the handicap. The only way that you tap into your true power is by acknowledging the handicap. Acknowledging by speaking the safe word. There's a book, there's a killer book on mind control. Any book on mind control, dark psychology, dark mind control, those books are the biggest contents, because when you start looking at this thing, you start reading shit. I've been watching Gotham for the last couple of days, and the aspect of the trigger words that they put into your mind, this is how you understand how MK Ultra works. This is how you understand how this shit works. This is how you understand how this shit flows, how this shit works. It's the power and the energy and the attention that you give them that they're doing something fucking devious is what gives them their power. They can do all of the stances, do all of the poses, do all of the moves. They can do every stance, every move that makes them look like they're doing something, but they'll never take they're not doing anything. It's you speaking. What's up? It's you speaking into the existence for them to live and thrive within the space. You saying that there's an oppressor and you gave the oppressor a name, you gave the oppressor clothes, you gave the oppressor his outfit, their personality, their behavior type, you gave them all of these things. You're still creating, you're still in charge. But if you sit here and you put yourself in that mindset and you say, I have an oppressor, you put yourself in that mindset saying you have an oppressor, guess what? You create the shoes, the shirt, the pants, the job, everything that the oppressor would have. You are the energy source. You're the only thing that has the fucking soul, the true power source. You are of gold. The only way gold can be made, only way something can make gold and do the alchemy of gold is if it was made of gold. Or it has the properties within it already. So everything you create through a thought form becomes a consciousness, and it picks up all the trash that's basically the remnants of thought forms that you have long forgot that you actually spoke. So you put that shit out there. So I'm gonna put this out there. I got an oppressor now. I got a demon. I got a devil. I got to go against it. That's what's above your fucking head. That's the burden that's on your fucking heart. So no matter what you do, it doesn't matter what spell you concoct, what spell you write down, what you put together, you've already created every antagonist or everything outside of yourself that's going to keep you from getting to it. Because without that being there, what would you do? How would you grind? How would you hustle? How would you be put under pressure? You've already been initiated through the pressure system already. When we prophesized the being prisoners of war and being slaves and being taken away and all that shit, we already put all that together. That was your initiation into this phase. But you've lost your confidence in creating anything because in order to create, you must first destroy. And since they have us so bound up on loving one another in this unity, you get locked under the aspects of what unity is based on their definition, what love is based on the definition. But you're not understanding that in order for me to get to that love, I got to destroy some shit. In order for me to get to this drink inside of this bottle, I must destroy the cap to get to my nourishment that's inside this bottle. That's the only way this shit can be unlocked. Or either I just break it. Either I destroy it by dropping it on the ground, then I cannot deliver from the sustenance, or I take the cap off and I drink it my damn self. That's their ultimate disguise. Why do you think that's why I said earlier, for every 500 motherfuckers that can get, every 500 one of us that can get knocked off, of course, everybody that take that aspect, you take the aspect of, for every 500 motherfuckers that they can go knock off, they'll show you one on television. They killed a black man jogging. I celebrate the transition. Their controlling of chaos is their aspect of chaos is based off of everything that they're doing is a side effect based on an intellectual. Everything that they do is based upon an intellectual standpoint of our chaos. What we understand what chaos is to be. We understand that we are chaos. From us, the most wild ass movements. For us, for the most wildest movements that we'll make, we turn into dances. James Brown, mad fucking dances. These aspects, what they do at this level, based on the intellectual level, is when they create chaos, they're simply feeding off of imbalances that are within the space. That's all they know how to do is feed off of the imbalances. That's how they come into creation anyway. You study any book on so they take that and then they have an answer for it. They only can answer based off ego because all they are is consciousness. Therefore, they are the derivative of ego. That's all they are, ego. They're ego and humanity. We understanding, when you read the Gnostic text, you understanding that when you're looking into the aspects of humanity itself, humanity is the dark. Humanity is the dark that you go into to understand the light. So if you're getting stuck on the humanity based on the emotional rhythm, that's how you get locked in the polarity and the conflict back and forth. Oh my God, this shit happened to me. They shot another one of us. We need to march. They shot another one of us. We need to go kill somebody. This is the aspect that you're not, this is the aspect motherfuckers are not even fucking standing. You're not going to be able to do anything on this level that is going to succeed this level based on intellectual content, based on thought. Human thought is what has you locked in what you're locked in. Your first thought when someone walks into your fucking space, I can be sitting here and have this room full of motherfucking people. If somebody walked in and knocked, if someone opened this door and walked in, I'm automatically going to look. How the fuck did they get in? How the fuck did they get into this fucking, how the fuck they get in? They ain't got a fucking key. How they get in? That door can swing wide the fuck open. No one can be standing at the door. But that natural thought process to go walk through the door to go see what the fuck's happening at that door. So what happens at this other door that's in front of me? The motherfucker that was willing to scale up 3 stories to come into this space, that's the motherfucker that I need to think about. But I'm not thinking. This is the thought process that I have to know in. This is understanding the extremes. The extremes. Going outside of that disguise, that rhythm of the extremes of what something would be without you. I told one of my clients today, no, it was Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. They heard the podcast and they were like, so what is the thought process about suicide? I've had other people ask me about suicide as well. When you're going through your transition, you're going through death, what if those thoughts of suicide come up and occur? Now that you're able to acknowledge them coming up, ride through that wave by going through the process of what a suicide is. Which means if I sit here and I'm going through suicidal thoughts and I'm transitioning to another level, I'm going to go through every aspect that I need to go through, from writing the note to printing up an obituary to writing out note cards for what each person is going to say about me. That's going to be in positive. The motherfuckers that are going to come to my funeral, I'm going to go through the entire process. Because after I'm done going through this process of writing everything down and I read all this shit over as I'm reading to myself, I'm like, damn, they only know me for these aspects here. That's what I'm not leaving these aspects. These are the aspects that they know me for. The negative aspects that they do not know me for, they don't speak on. I have to understand my negative aspects of myself in order to pass on, to transition. We get stuck in this thought process where if somebody says something, oh my God, I can't believe it. The fuck doesn't fucking matter. When you're speaking your truth, when you're standing in your truth, standing in your knowing, standing in your truth, speaking your shit, speaking from your heart, what comes next needs to come. Whether it's a motherfucker saying, I don't fuck, that motherfucker's crazy, he lost his fucking mind, Or that motherfucker, damn, that motherfucker that said some shit that fucking I needed to fucking hear. Whichever fucking side. That shit needs to fucking happen. Because that allows you the ability to be able to gauge your next set of moves. That's the aspect of chess, not checkers. Allowing, you have to speak. You have to show. Standing within yourself. And you've seen this shit forever. But when you're looking at it based on emotion, you'll get upset when a nigga like Kanye say, when Kanye West says, nigga, slavery was a choice. Me and 5 people that I know agree with that nigga. Because it forces you to fucking think. The aspect of true knowledge, true adept to the knowledge and context of understanding is it forces you to think past the principles, the morality, and the aspects that you have been trained and subjected to. If I came on here and said some shit that you already fucking knew, and you were like, oh, ooh, he's deep. I didn't say shit for 3 hours. I didn't say any fucking thing. I just said what you needed to. I just said what you wanted to hear, what you felt you needed to hear to reinforce your self-esteem within the space of, okay, cool, I guess I'm on the right track. My purpose is to challenge you. My purpose is to challenge you to think. That's my purpose. Because my purpose for myself is to force myself to think. Force myself to be within the discomfort. You have to live in the discomfort. Because if you're living in the sanity, you're living in the comfort, you never grow. It's only in discomfort, understanding nature and how nature, look at nature around you. Everything from when a snake is no longer comfortable in its skin, it sheds its skin. When a caterpillar has to become a butterfly, it goes into the cocoon. You're on that same space and frequency, going through that change. Through the destruction comes the next level, comes creation, through that chaos. But if your mindset is stuck upon controlling something so it exists as you want it to exist, all you're aspiring to is infatuation. All you're aspiring to is infatuation of some shit. You're infatuated with how a motherfucker can say some shit to you and make your panties moist. You're infatuated with how shorty can wear them fucking pants or say something to you that sounds fucking that you wish all women could say, and you get attached to it. This is how you get locked down. You got infatuated by a shorty picking what she wanted to eat in less than 2 minutes. Actually knowing what she fucking wanted to eat. You got excited over that shit. You got excited over some mundane shit because it didn't force you to fucking think. The biggest book, one of the biggest books that I read that I fucking absorbed, and I went over it in a sex lecture, was The Way of the Superior Man. But there's a breakdown in understanding what challenges you and how it challenges you, how it takes you to the next fucking level. Anything that's going to challenge you on the truest intent, on either positive or negative, is going to destroy you. When something is challenging you to the positive intent, is going to challenge and destroy every aspect of yourself that you once wanted to hold on to transition. When you are in the negative aspect or something's in the negative aspect, it will challenge you not based on transition, but based on thought. What you gonna do without us? What you gonna do? What you gonna do without? What you gonna do without your friends? What you gonna do without your family? What you gonna do without? I'm gonna do the same fucking shit I did with my family that I'm gonna do without my fucking family. I'm gonna do the same fucking shit And one of the things that I used to program into my mind earlier on when I used to do mantras was how I used to defeat certain situations. One of the things I used to always say, if somebody says some shit to me, like if a shorty says something to me, or fine, I'm leaving. My exact mindset, my mindset still is now, where you end, another one shall begin. If somebody says, fine, I'm not going to do this, my mindset was always, you'll need me before I need you. Building that mantra, that mindset into my mind, I looked for everything that connected to not need. Why? I first could look at what I needed, that archetype, that conduit, that energy, that totem for in the first place. So I can clearly say, you'll need me before I need you. And stand on that, because that's my truth. Because I've already went through the processes in my transitions to where I didn't need something outside of me to cultivate that energy. When it comes into your life this is where we get stuck at based on humanity. Things come into your aspects of your life, people, places, things, ideas, everything comes into your life based on your understanding and your mental. Therefore, something as simple as if you believe in aliens, then when you have a dream about fucking aliens telling your ass shit, the alien told me to do this, and the alien told me to do that, and the fish people told me to do this, and you read it in the mythos, this taught me to do this told me to do that, this told me to do this, that, and the other. That's based on your level of understanding. When a dog has a fucking dream, it dreams about bones and other fucking dogs. So anything that comes to it is going to come to it in the vision of a dog or a fucking bone. When you dream based on the fundamental concepts of where you're at in your mind, in your mindset, things only are going to come to you based on your level of understanding of that space. Shit cannot change. It'll only come to you in the materialization based on something that is comfortable for you to look at. So if I have when I was first having conversations, my grandmother always came to me in my fucking dreams and had conversations with me. When I started understanding I could manipulate my dream and I had that power to manipulate my space, my grandmother came to me, and then she always came to me in a different colored dress, or it was a different color scenery, or we were in a different area. And then as I'm coming out of my dream, staying in that meditative state, trained and doing that training for the visualization, I came into that state and I came out. Everything that needed to keep me in connection to that, I could go find. So myself led me to the Orishas. So when I looked at Oshun, I looked at Yemenya, I looked at the feminine aspects of the Orishas. All of those aspects were my grandmother, my aunt. I gave them a face. I gave them a face that was conducive to me understanding it. So I could work with the energy in tandem, how it transitioned to me. In doing this, everything started changing around me drastically in how I acted, how I moved, how I spoke, that's the overall content of where I was at mentally, physically, spirits. Everything started changing and shifting. The only thing that can get you caught up in that is worrying about what people are going to fucking think. I stopped caring about what motherfuckers were thinking. The same way I am on Monday when I put together the podcast episode and then drop it on Tuesday, I'm the same way on Tuesday when I wake up and do the same way I wake up on a Monday and do the 7:45, meditate and elevate via my Facebook and my IG is the same way I am Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's no change. There's no need for the change in that space in my mental because I've brought balance to that space. That's my nexus point. I don't have to worry about going back and forth with my ancestors are going to be angry with me. The gods are going to be angry with me. I am one of the fucking gods. I am one of the fucking titans. You got to be careful when you messing with that energy. That's more spookism. Unconsciously, they are telling you something that is going to leave you branded and marked into a space that you're not ready for. That's why it resonates with you. That's why when you go into certain spaces, you do certain shit don't even fucking resonate or hit you on that certain level anymore, that certain aspect, because you're no longer conducive to that space. You've used up all of the energy in that space. It's become a wasteland. The only thing that can change in that space is now physical, minute, mundane ideals and concepts that no longer fucking exist anyway or can take any more space or within chaos. We're in the destruction phase, the destruction or the deconstruction phase. All this shit is going to be exactly where the fuck it's going to be. That's why if you go out right now, real shit, you go out right now, you try to look for somebody in the space that you came from, you're realizing that that unwritten law, that rule about gods dealing with the humans, the gods dealing with the humans is not, it's frowned upon, or it's not something that you can do. You'll start realizing that your energy, that's how powerful your energy is and why you can't do it. I learned that shit I learned it the hard way, not understanding how powerful I was and my energy level and my energy, how it was circumvented. Because I remember being in relationships where, based on the highest intellectual understanding and my intelligence, my unknown intelligence, was driving the chicks crazy. It was the level of my energy. My energy stimulated their genius into a space the way they were not ready to receive that intelligence. You come into a space, and this is going back into the aspect to understand certain people come into alignment at a certain point in time to help you learn something about yourself. Everything comes into your space to help you learn from it. It's your humanity that wants to hold. It's that natural humanity aspect that makes you want to hold on to shit. The fundamental thing. So it makes you quick to speak at certain points and not to speak at all. There are other points. Ask anybody that knows me. Nothing halts my tongue because I have the ability to explain everything that comes from my tongue. I'm either explaining something that I've already been through and concepts and pieces of it, or when you have certain people that are that lower vibratory rate, let me get to that lower vibratory rate. At that lower vibratory rate or that higher vibratory rate, it's the same fucking shit. A motherfucker can only talk about what they understand. Everything else becomes regurgitated based upon knowledge, and their ego kicks in to not tell you where they got their shit from, where they recited their shit from. When you're at the higher level and you're knowing, if I'm having a conversation, if I'm talking, if I'm rolling like this with this lecture, that channel for that download for that book to come through, I'll drop the book. But like, yo, a good book to get you into the aspect of understanding and breaking down something, alchemy and psychoanalysis. Great book. This book pairs very well with, I forgot the name of the author, but he did a book called Dark Psychology, and he did another book called, there's another book called Mind Control. This a book like this, a book like Alchemy and Psychoanalysis, it's a great pairing book, because this book that starts as a parable and they break down a parable, it helps you understand that this is a breakdown to help you start energizing that occult mind, that occult cog in your brain, to actually break down things that are broken apart and separated that you don't understand. Bringing it into a representation of understanding and interpretation that you can better understand. The main thing is you can't do that shit with fucking ego. You got to be humble. The thing about energy and power is similar to when they show us in the scary movies where the demon or the Damien comes and then attacks the kid. It's always attacking the children. It's their innocence. It's their innocence. It's their humility. It's their humility that gives them the ability to see, interact, and feel with that energy. I'm more childlike every single fucking day because being in that state, I'm in that state whenever I'm creating something. I'm always going, every time I go into the state before I come on and do the lecture, I meditate, I go back to the sun that just rose. It was a cooler summer day. I was sitting out front in the front yard, and I was sitting in my walker, and I was playing with the dragonflies, playing with the butterflies. I go back to that moment because in that moment, that was the beginning of me embracing and being humble to the energy that was around me. I go back to that moment because it's no longer a moment, because the things that block me from going back to that moment of that childhood innocence and that childhood bliss was everything that my identity put in front of it that was deemed as doors, that was deemed and marked off as doors that I did not understand. So it had skulls, it had demons. This is the whole aspect of understanding that energy, that the priest would make the things evil or seem demonic or put a figure that was scary to ward off the ones that weren't fucking worthy for it. That's why they paint you in such an ugly tone. That's why people paint you so easily in such an ugly tone. It's an unconscious act because it's natural within you to do it. That's why that spitting of the tongue, when a motherfucker sits here and says, you're saying something to somebody, it's a level that you are not in balance with to actually submit yourself to internally. There's still trauma behind that door. You're not willing to let down that door, let down that wall, that grid, in order for that energy to come forth. So everything around you is an aspect of that same, everything around you becomes an aspect within your space of you not wanting to do that. So when the discomfort comes within yourself of, I don't want to deal with that, you walk away from it. Some people are still stuck. You can get stuck in that transition phase where you're going to continuously go around the same aspects that put you in the space that you're in until you understand why the fuck they were put there. The connection, the tether, why your mother does what they do and says what they say. You become what you do not understand. It doesn't matter how well you dress that shit up. It's still shit at the end of the fucking day. So until you understand what the fuck it is, its reasoning, its purpose for coming into existence, and understand that safe word that you put there, it won't go nowhere. Oh, my mother could not, the ideals of my mother could not go into rest until I reached a certain point to where I did not need her I did not need her for what I needed her for in first. So my mother's existence in my life is now in that sense of stasis that I no longer have to defend upon or defend. My mother's my mother. She's doing exactly what she's supposed to do. Them strippers the strippers at the strip club, they're doing exactly what the fuck they're supposed to do. My job for myself, my purpose is not to tell somebody what they're supposed to be doing in their own day-to-day life. How they survive, how they sustain themselves, is how they sustain themselves. My purposing is to teach the methodology and give the interpretations of what it is when you're trying to go forward and what it means. My purpose is to have that conversation that's going to stimulate that thought, but leave you defenseless and leave you to be only offensive for it to flow freely. One second. Everything outside of that becomes a side effect. You've been taught side effects were bad. Side effects are actually whatever the fuck you want them to be. The side effects of what I speak and the side effects of what I put out in my speaking, my side effects become, okay, cool. The side effects of when I speak and whenever I'm speaking, when I speak and when I put it out, the side effect is forcing you to think. From those thoughts, everything else is cultivated. My intention is not to make you feel good on purpose. My intention is not to make you happy on purpose. My intention is not to make you feel anything primarily on purpose. If that happens, that happens. But my entire purpose and my entire train of thought when I'm delivering the message, delivering the context, delivering that light, is to remove the disguise, the harsh reality of it, in that aspect of the disguise that leaves you locked into the space that you're in. Until your eyes are bleeding, you can't wipe. Until you cry tears, you can't wipe away what was cleansed from your eyes. Until you understand what gives you the imbalance in yourself, everything that comes outside of you is going to make you feel like you're being attacked, like it's personally towards you. Everything's going to make you feel like, oh my God, they said this about me, and they said this about me, or they did this about me, or they said this about me, or they put this on me, or they said this, they don't love me, they don't like me, this right here, and they, whatever the fuck it may be. As I hate when that happens. Skip that fucking, all right, cool. Good. Anyway, but this aspect of your reality, of your mindset, is taking you out of that transition taking you into that transition to go out of the mourning phase, the fundamentals of mourning. What am I going to lose? That thought process is the same thought process that, if you smoke crack, you take that pipe, you take that hit, you take that alcohol, you take that sip, whatever the fuck is whatever you're doing, your thought process that's going to your mind is, what the fuck am I about to lose? I have nothing to lose and everything to gain at the level that I'm at. I have nothing to lose. Your people are dying all around you. They're going to where I'm about to go anyway. I can't believe you said that. What the fuck did you want me to say? How did you want me to feel? How did you want me to think? You're separating and shifting yourself away from the paradigms of the space that kept you in that continuum of yourself. Building your confidence within your knowing. You're in that magician phase. But now it's time for you to learn your tricks of your trade. You put yourself into a certain space. We decided these spaces, everything fell into place because it needed to fall into place that way. What if my father didn't transition in 03? What if my father didn't transition in 03? Would I be here? Would I be here or would I be somewhere else? Because up until that point, my father was showing me the family fucking business. His last words before his transition, and I can say that now because I didn't understand what transitioning was then at that time, but during his transition, don't become like me. I didn't become like my father. I surpassed my father. I did everything that he taught me, and I made the interpretation and took it into the next level. Until it no longer was suffice to me. It didn't intrigue me anymore. I learned over the fucking years that every job that I fucking held, it didn't give me any. After a certain point in time, I got bored with it and I moved on to something else. But the only thing I was doing was unconsciously, I wasn't confident enough to do on my own or create from my own space. So I needed to stay within the same confines of that space to survive. I was still stuck on the fundamentals. Though I was gaining understanding of the why of the what, I didn't understand the why. So since I didn't understand the why, I continuously was going from restaurant to restaurant. Every 5 years I would leave. 4 years, 5 years, go on the road, do a bunch of stuff, whatever, and I would leave. Until I started realizing I would always speak out in a way based on where I was at. And I was never afraid to speak. I was never afraid to say certain shit. I was never afraid. And then when I studied my natal chart and my North Node being a Gemini, I was like, nigga, I'm a natural born leader. I looked at my cardinal sign, the cardinal cross of my signs, how my signs crossed out, came up, and it was like, you naturally lead. You're naturally able to speak and elevate. So that led me closer and closer to the transition to the door to the next level. But I still had a lot of dying I had to do. No matter what level you in your shit, you got a lot of fucking dying to fucking do. Trying to hold on to shit for whatever the purpose it may be, for the memory, you already have the memory. I have the memory of everybody that I ever fucking knew. Their positive points and their negative points. What they taught me from the negative and from the positive. Taking from that what serves me and what doesn't serve me. What didn't serve me then can serve me now. It always can serve me because the energy, the things that happen in their mindsets, those thoughts are what serve me. So as I celebrate transitions, as I celebrate the transition, the shit comes online faster. It's like dropping everything into the centrifuge. And that shit spins. And you know what the centrifuge spins? You drop stuff into it, everything is separated, and then take that centrifuge and make that visualization. Imagine that shit spinning, and you cut the top, you cut the bottoms off, and that shit spin around, and it hit everything on the lens. Everything that I see, based on the knowledge that I've taken in, comes in on that same parallel. So I see those lights. I see those colors that cannot be explained on this level. I see a level of information that cannot be explained, that cannot be intellectualized on this level. But the only way I was able to do that is to understand the physical aspects within the initiations of why I had to go through certain things, why we had to go through the blood war, why we had to go through the Holocaust for us, why cowrie cells, like, and these are the things that reinforce. You read the books on Apollo spirits, and you read these books, and you read the books on Apollo spirits and the principles. It's the same fucking aspect as when you're looking into motherfuckers that want to be, I'm the new king of Kemet, whatever the fuck they want to be, and they're stuck in an aspect because they're still having something over them. They enjoy having something over them. They enjoy having something to look up to. Because if they look up to it and you don't look up to it, and you look up to it, and they got a little more information, they have superiority. They have a superior complex over you. Positive and negative. The first thing motherfuckers love to do when they get into their consciousness and they start glowing and they start fucking shining, if they want to go around the motherfuckers that weren't conscious. Or when they do go around certain conscious individuals, they put them in a certain mindset, like, yeah, that phase, this wears off, that wears off, this wears off. I had someone tell me that shit wears the fuck off, or I could tell they were stuck in the transition of actually going further based on the content of someone's going to take my information. That's the point. If you put your intention, if your intention is to put out that knowledge and put out that fucking word, you want somebody to take your shit because that gives you more room to make more stuff. Because there's only so long before that shit going to be brought to the light that the motherfucker didn't really know what the fuck they were talking about. I put out information I remember the first time I started putting out the podcast, doing the lectures, doing the Facebook, the Friday night lectures, and putting out content. There's content that I put out back in 2018 that people are just coming into contact with. My intention and purpose stays the fucking same. I'm meant to put out the information and the knowledge. When you get into it, whenever you get to it, whenever you connect to it, that's when you connect to it. Whenever you come into the opening and the humbleness of your heart to get the context of what I'm speaking, that's when you come into it. That's when your work begins. It begins where you begin. My grandmother always told me, she was like, hello, pineapple. My grandmother always told me, after a long day of cooking, let everybody enjoy their plates. Let yours set. Let yours marinate. Let yours get cold. Let yours marinate. Because the time when you're able to get to it, the only time it's actually going to be good for you and fulfilling for you is when you actually have the time to sit there and enjoy it. Not when you're tired, not after you cooked it. Enjoy the energy. Enjoy the energy of everybody enjoying is doing what it's supposed to do. When I put that love, when I put that energy out there, that energy is now in that container, that conduit. The message is still the fucking same. It's just had time to marinate. It's had time to mature like a fine bottle of fucking wine. That's its timestamp when it came out. I go back and look at my lectures to gauge and have further understanding of my own shit. And I get a deeper context of what I was saying. Even when I said that before, I can see my growth. I can see my transition. I can see my depths line up. I can see myself coming out of certain disguises and certain aspects of myself that no longer pertain to me. That's why when you get to a certain point, you understand your comfort is their discomfort. You understand your comfort is their discomfort. Somebody can come onto one of my pages and say something. I can say something. I put up something that's very impactful and very knowledgeable, and us will understand it. But it'll take that one Jesus person. Jesus is the only savior, whatever, nigger. And instead of reacting in a way that is unbalanced, I react in a way that challenges their intellect based upon my intelligence. That's how I give it to them. Now, if it gets heated, if they think the way that they'll take it, just like if you send a text message to somebody, depending on how they know you as or the mindset that they would take, their perception, that's how they're going to read the message. Based on where they're at. I've had people come on my page and say, Jesus, this, and this, and this. And I believe in this, and you should too. And my exact words were like, nah. I'm one better than Jesus. I'm the Christ. I'm the God. Got a little deeper in the mess of like, I'm the devil. I have to be the devil to your God. Scripture. Took the interpretation, gave them the interpretation of the scripture, gave them good bibliography, went on about my day. You have to understand that motherfuckers is put into place to keep you distracted, as well as to help you grow. That distraction, also the motherfuckers that's the distraction is the same motherfuckers that are gonna help your ass fucking grow. Until you learn, until you have grown, until you have transitioned, until you have died or allowed that part of you to die or acknowledge that toxin, the distraction can keep repeating itself. That's why, to me, if they kill somebody, celebrate the fucking transition. That's energy for me. Celebrate the transition. Just celebrate the energy that just now been released. Tap into it. Oh, that nigga was running? All right, cool. I'm going to use that to drive me to run next level. Nipsey Hussle died. Nipsey St. Nip transitioned in the aspect of the marathon continues, and that was his platform. That's what he stood by. How can I make my marathon continue? How can I use that energy to better myself? You do that in positive and negative. Just like when you take, oh my God, Trump's doing this and Trump's doing that. I want Trump to have another motherfucking term because it's more of the same fucking energy. I'm already in tune. I already know exactly how to work that energy. But just like me understanding how to work and use that energy to my fucking benefit, I understand how to use every bit of energy after that. That's the part of studying all and following none. When you stuck on that trend, everybody hate Trump, so I'm going to hate Trump too. Everybody love Obama, so I love Obama too. Obama didn't do shit for black people. Bobby Hemon broke down how motherfucking Obama was simply a symbol, the symbolization of you coming into your power. That's all he represented. Look at him for any other fuck. Looking at these motherfuckers outside of you for any other reason other than for a deeper understanding is where you get fucking stuck at. Looking at your friend, your homegirl, your homeboy, and hoping that they're gonna get better and all this shit, all that shit is doing is leaving your ass locked in within a space of something. All you're telling yourself is, I need to get better at something. Until you realize that nothing outside of you is going to make you get better than you will do for yourself first, then you understand the aspect of that distraction and why it's there in the fucking first place. I got whole fucking family members that have been working the same fucking jobs for 20, 30 fucking years in the same fucking positions. The only thing that they brought out of it is something that they wanted, or something that came as a byproduct of them being in that space for so long. I got friends, I got brothers, sisters, homeboys that they're in the same exact spaces that if I was to go by their house right the fuck now, they're doing the same exact, they're going to be doing the same exact fucking shit that they did when I fucking wasn't there. The only thing that fucking changed was the physical appearance of shit. They got a different car, they got a different house, they got some different furniture, they got some new shoes, they got a different chain, they went and got a grill. Everything they've done was reactive to what the energy, everything that they're doing is reactive or reacting to the stimulus that has been pumped into their system. Everything that I'm doing is anti-pumped of the toxin that was already put into my fucking system. I bled that shit out. I detoxed that shit out. I sweat that shit out. I erased it from the existence. I erased it from the existence of my environment. So I'm not going back into that space because that's the aspect of the falsifying of control. You'll keep motherfuckers around you based on the control aspect. You'll keep motherfuckers around you based on the control aspect. You know exactly what they do. You know exactly what they're about. You know they ain't about shit. You know they don't do shit. You know they do the same things every fucking Friday. You know they do the same things every fucking Thursday. You know they do. You know what they do Monday through Friday. And you know they're too tired to do anything else on a Saturday, so that's when you go fuck with them. Or whatever day you fucking choose. So you know exactly when to go around them and how to speak around them. Because they know exactly how to speak to you to keep you entangled in humanity. And the whole key is to get untangled from humanity and human thought. This is what brings your intuition online. This is what makes my clairvoyance so strong. My clairvoyance and my ability to look at shit for what the fuck it is fucking parallel by bar fucking none. And I stand by that shit. And I'm humbled to the gracious thought that I can invoke such an energy and be given that I have given that understanding through patience. There's a scene in Gotham where there's a couple scenes in Gotham where when I watch Gotham and I look at young Bruce and Alfred did more. Alfred was the subconscious of Bruce Wayne. He was the archetype of his subconscious. So there's things that he says to him that based upon Bruce in his consciousness being too young or still being a sponge, he's learning within his own way. He's learning how to manipulate. He's learning how to become deceptive. He's learning how to use these positive and negative aspects within himself as he goes throughout his growth. That's the whole aspect of you can't tell your child shit if all they've seen you do is do. You can't tell somebody shit if that's all they've ever seen you do. The only thing you can do is give them your peace, give them what you did to get out of it, and hope it resonates with something inside of them. Because you can't be around them 24. You can't be around your kids 24 fucking 7. You can't be around these people 24/7. That's the thing we get stuck in, is that constraint of time. If I'm around them every single day, what about that minute, that hour that you're not around them? What about when they go to sleep? What about when they do this? What about when they go this? You have to become comfortable in the discomfort that you cannot save people. You cannot change the world until you change yourself, because the world is a reflection of you. You got to remove that disguise that has you stuck in this complex based on the fundamentals, because this is some real shit. When you go from the transition to fuck Jesus, that fundamental of Jesus is a savior and all that shit's still in your fucking mind, because you denounced and threw the whole fucking sink away. So how can you wash your hands from something if you don't know what the fuck to wash your hands from? You don't understand the aspects of what it is, therefore you can't walk away from it. So it becomes an impulse based off trigger. The trigger. Someone says something about Jesus, man, fuck Jesus, man. It's Allah. Fuck Jesus, man. Nah, it's Horus and Set and the Set and you're gonna regurgitate and spit off what the fuck you learned. But how did you apply it to understand that those shits go together? You can't have fucking Jesus without fucking Horus. You can't have fucking Set. You can't have the devil without fucking Set. You can't have the archetype and the side effect of white people without having the architect of what a black person is. You can't have one without the other. You can't have this light shined out here until you understand the other. That shit still will exist within the fundamentals of you not understanding it. Here's the understanding. Here's you in between. Here's the white man. Here's the white man. Here's my oppressor. Here's my knowledge and understanding of understanding how they came into existence. Let me pick a side. That's my oppressor. I'm going to wear this mask of me being oppressed. So I wear a mask of being oppressed. So everything that I speak, everything that I do becomes under oppression. So every time that I'm speaking, and I speak in a strong sense, and I speak like, yeah, I'm doing this for the people, and it's still coming from that same aspect or that same disguise based under depression. I'm still scared of that motherfucker, because I gave that motherfucker too much motherfucking power. It's the same thing. It's synonymous of an abusive relationship. Get into an abusive relationship, you become Stockholm Syndrome, you become the motherfucker that was the abuser. You become the captor. Until you understand the things that connected to you or resonated with you that you did not have confidence to turn on in yourself. That's why you attached to that in the first place. But are you willing to look it in the fucking face? There's a scene in fucking Gotham where Enigma kills his shorty, kills his lady, trying to explain himself. But he was constricting her throat. He was constricting her ability to speak, scream, or say anything that was going to challenge him to actually think about what the fuck he was saying. So she died. So he lost the love of his life. He lost the conduit that gave him the ability to be what he had became. But in losing that, he gained an aspect of understanding. 1 second. What am I learning right now? That during a fucking detox, while you in the middle of a detox, you detoxing yourself with black walnut and your other herbs, you're going to have to go pee a lot. But take the aspect of that. So you're stuck between the limbo of identity. Everybody on Gotham is stuck between the limbo of identity. From Gordon, he's himself, and then there's this line that he doesn't want to cross of becoming the monster, or him becoming the monster, or more in tune with his true self or his actual behaviors. And staying whatever is needed on this side to be seen and be pliable to the world. So he's stuck between that. He's stuck on what masks to wear. But not understanding that if you're not in tune with the energy and you're at an imbalance, the energy still flows through. So if you denounce the energy, you don't understand the fucking energy, guess what fucking happens to you? It comes disguised as something else that has more confidence to use the energy. I can't do that because it's bad. I can't do that because of this. I can't do that because of this. Guess what? Now you have the thought form that picked up the thought form that created from your own mind, your own creation. That thought form picked up all the shit that could charge that and brought it into full spectrum of what the fuck it actually is. So now it exists. You have to understand that you created the caves that you threw the motherfuckers in. You taught them motherfuckers how to do everything that they fucking did. You gave them insight and retrospect in everything that they're doing and everything that they wanted to do. When you're no longer there, that shit's still sustained based on the thought forms, what the thoughts and the memories of what the fuck you were when you were there. Oh, you're not fun no more. You don't like to drink no more. You don't like to smoke no more. You don't like to do this no more. You don't go out anymore. You don't do this anymore. That shit ain't fucking me anymore. I've learned that I can do that shit within my fucking own home and chill with the fucking spirits, to talk to the fucking spirits, have a bomb ass fucking time and not have to worry about the restriction or the constraint of a motherfucker looking at me for talking to myself. Or me having an entire interface with an energy sitting here right in front of me. I don't have to worry about that shit. So I do it within my space. Their perception, that motherfucker lost his motherfucking mind. There's a motherfucker that's gonna be looking at me and be like, that nigga's embracing, that nigga has the confidence to embrace some shit. How do I get to that level? How can I gain audience with that person? You gotta humble yourself. It's all about the humility aspect. I'm humble to listen to anybody's interpretations of what they speak on. And I deliver my interpretation or my understanding if it's warranted at that space and time. So I don't have to worry about, oh my God, this motherfucker don't think I'm... You know how many conversations I've had with motherfuckers when they were high that I couldn't have with them when they were sober? I brought myself into the environment. I created the environment to where it can sustain that level of energy, where I always can bring it into my favor. That's the aspect of truly being your spiritual self. You bring things into your favor. So it doesn't matter what the fuck I say. I can always explain it 4 ways. I can always explain it to the north node, east, west, east, north, east, south, and west. I can always explain it. Whether it's giving the bibliography, whether it's giving the book, giving out a book to start from, or here's a starting point or a mantra, I can give that out. It still move within my shit. That's a rhythm that most motherfuckers can't get to. They scared to get to that rhythm. They scared of that. They scared of that rhythm. They scared of that energy. They scared of that. They fear something like that. That's what they truly fear. They don't fear your ass picking up a fucking gun. They don't fear your ass unifying. They don't fear your ass getting a gun, getting an economic plan, unifying, doing any of that shit. Because they have answers for all of that. What they do not have an answer for is within that fucking dark space. That's why they make everything dark seem bad. So you won't go to it. You gave them the power. You gave motherfuckers in your life the power to show you your own fucking darkness. The longer you stay distracted around them, the longer it takes you to actually fucking do what you need to do. Get on your work. Get on your square. Gain your knowledge. Gain your depth. Gain your badges. Gain your context. Gain your understanding. Gain your interpretation. Because you worried about what somebody else is going to think about what the fuck you doing. That disguise is too well put together. If I take this mask off, then they can see my face. Let them see your fucking face. That's the same interpretation, the thought process of all this information that is free to be given out. Their intellectual understanding of this information is they can't get into it because they do not have the fire starter to start it or ignite it. So since they don't have that to start it, they put every distraction in front of you so you don't start yours because it's natural for you. It's natural for us to be seductive. It's natural for us to look powerful. Even at our weakest, we can look powerful. We make the most meekful stance look strong as fuck. That's within us. That's something within you that cannot be taken out of you. But it takes you to actually get to working inside of yourself to understanding your ability to do it. To bring in the destruction to what no longer serves you a purpose, to help you entice your soul to come to the fucking surface. The enticing of your soul, the rising of your serpent, the rising of your naga, the understanding of your serpent power. That's all on you. That's all on your works. That's all on everything that you're going to do. That's what my whole practice, that's what my whole fucking platform is built on. Unlocking that within you. But you got to be humble to come to it. You got to know in reflection, I know I don't know everything. But what I do know, I am well versed in, and I'm open to knowing more. I'm always open to the thought process that there is more to learn. So I can never grow bored. That's one thing that I learned when I was going from job to job, restaurant to restaurant, career, all these things. It was like I started saying that aspect of longevity and experience that you get locked into. I started saying that I understand the aspects of an Applebee's. I just don't understand an Olive Garden. All I had to do was transition everything, all the core aspects of Applebee's, and transform to the aspects and attributes of Olive Garden, and I understood Olive Garden. Alchemy. It was already within me to transfer it and bring it over here and make it work in my favor. That's what that taught me. When you're in these levels, when you're in this space, what you are learning is that you can transfer this shit over, but you have to embrace what the fuck you get. You have to embrace it in order to pull it over. So I can go back to that space with my childhood self when I was like 1 or 2 years old and looking. No, I was 1. I was 2. I was 1.5. I was 1.5 years old, and I remember that light and the shining of the light and the sun kissing my fucking face, and I'm playing with fucking butterflies. And I remember I can go back to those moments because I've removed all of the barriers that led me back to my natural, true self. When I was in my truest, purest form. The aspect of being on this level in this plane, what they do to keep you locked here is to make you feel ashamed for everything that you did or everything that you've been through. And then you being your own worst enemy, you'll sit there and say that shit to your fucking self. You'll have a whole fucking wait and exhale moment. Or, yeah, you'll have a whole wait and exhale moment. And get in your feelings over some shit. But you didn't understand what the fuck. If that shit didn't happen, you wouldn't be where the fuck you at. The key to going to the next step is to understand why that happened so you can move from the level that you're at. If you're still stuck on this happened to me when I was little, and you nurturing what happened to you when you were little, guess what happens? Everything that you do is going to be because this happened to me when I was little. It goes synonymous with, oh, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm meant to be detached. Instead of understanding the aspects of what the fuck it is to gain control of it, to use it for your own gain. I understand why the fuck I was always detached. I remember I read the book. I read about my spirit animal being one of my spirit animals being the wolf. And I can never remember the name of the fucking wolf. But the aspect of the wolf that I was the one that could separate away from the pack. It was like the spirit alpha. He could separate himself away from the pack, go learn and go retrieve some information, go on his journey and come back to the pack and give it out to the society. That's the aspect of me understanding my north node and my north and my south nodes on my natal chart. And looking at that aspect, I became what it is in every aspect of being, or one interpretation of one pathway of light to that same path of understanding, oh, that's why I do this, and that's why I say this, and this is why I act upon this, and this is why I do this. So everything that I do everything I do in the physical realm has a certain sophistication to it. There's a certain polish, there's a certain gravitational to when I speak, when I move, when I do the things that I do. There's a certain enticement or an enchantment when I move. And as I got deeper into it, I started understanding the aspects, and this is what leads you. This is what I mean by your spirit leading you to yourself. This is where my spirit led me to Papa Legba in the Voodoo, and it led me to Baron Sami, and it led me to the Congo rites, and it led me to these spaces. So as it led me to each one of these spaces, I naturally attached to it was like literally picking up my hat where I left it at and placing it upon my head, picking up my pieces where I left them at and applying them back to myself, picking up my energy. Because as I'm invoking, when you start invoking on this, when you're invoking your energy and your power level, you realize that everything that you put on is evoked with your energy. That's why when they show you the monsters, and the monster has a tail, the monster has horns, the monster has wings, the monster has monstrous features that are not based upon humanity. Those are its powers. We had an understanding that when we studied nature, the reason a bird can fly is because it puts its power into its wings. It's crafted to fly. The fish is crafted to swim. The bee is crafted to pollinate and transfer pollen. The ant is cultivated to burrow into the ground. You're getting stuck in the disguise of the disguise of being a slave, the disguise of being a black man, the disguise of being a black woman, all these masks and shits that you put on your fucking face keep you from enhancing or tapping into your own power. I took a picture. One day I was getting off from my now no longer job, And I took a picture of myself. This is actually a long time ago. And I took a picture of myself and I was walking. I took a picture of myself and I looked at my shadow and I saw my tail. I've taken pictures and I've seen my horns. I've taken pictures and I've seen my wings. I've taken pictures and seen extremities in my shadow that I cannot see, in my physical eyes cannot see, but I can see it based upon, I can take the interpretation in. I couldn't explain it, but I could see it in my shadow, my true self. That's the aspect that they're afraid of you getting into, is tapping into your true self. Because once you tap into your true self and understand that you can work with your own energy, you don't need anything else around you. You don't need nothing outside of you to feed you or stimulate you at any cost. So that goes into the aspect of, you'll need me before I need you. Where you end, another one shall begin. It challenges your ego, because I've had those conversations before, and I looked at somebody in the face and was like, what can you do for me that I cannot do for myself? I can cook. I can cook too. I'm very clean. I'm mad clean too. I can wash clothes. I can wash clothes too. What can you do that's not already that's a natural fixture? That's an organic fixture. That's already there. That's already programmed there. That's already in the program. What can you do outside of that? What else? It's an energy that intrigues you and locks you into a certain space with certain people. That energy. You can tell when somebody, you can tell when an entity is fooling, you can tell when someone is unconscious or even in consciousness or in awareness, and they have their ego in play, because when they speak, it's like this self-content to it. There's always this void of, I can do it and you can't. When somebody's coming from a humble transition or a humble point, they're going to give you that hard. They can give you that hard, but they'll also give you the elements of why for that level. I give you that fuck them kids, and I give you the reason behind my interpretation of saying fuck them kids. I give you both sides. I give you both sides of the coin because I'm a reflection of seeing from both sides. I'm transparent. I have become transparent. Becoming transparent allows me to holster all of the energy that I circumvent. Therefore, when it's this centrifuge, this cycling, as I give out the information, more information comes to me. So I can give you week after week, information after information. And it's always new. It's always buddy. It's always connected to something else. I can take you back to the reaping lecture. I can take you back to the Generation of Us lecture. It was one of the first ones that I actually did on Facebook. And then I uploaded it to the channel and give you the aspects of that and bring it all into this, because it's all connected. It's all intertwined. That's how I found my way to the space that I'm in now, because I can give you the clear, conscientious steps that I took. The step may take you this way, but it took me this way. What we're going to explain when we come back together in that sense of that form is how to take you over there instead of take you over here. I'm not looking at, man, you must have did it wrong because I came over here and you went way over there. What was your intention? What was the intention that you set initially to even get into this space? That's that fear aspect. That's that fear mongering. That's why motherfuckers are stuck in this fear monger type aspect of you having an oppressor. but they're needed at a certain fucking level. Because when you're at that level of thinking of what the oppressor is, you have to understand, in order to break that chain, to break through that ceiling, to do that Willy Wonka and to hit that button in the fucking elevator and break through the ceiling, the glass ceiling, you got to understand what the fucking oppressor is. But if your mindset, if you're not humble of heart, when you are approached by something that is a fundamental of an oppressor, you won't speak. You don't have confidence in yourself. Therefore, you won't speak it. Therefore, you won't say what you've been so proud about for the entire fucking time. Because if you speak that, it shows that you're ready to transition. You give the universe, I'm ready to go. Bring in the next. Bring in what's next. And that's the confidence factor that they do not want you to have. That's the confidence factor that your friends, that one negative toxic ass friend, that one toxic or 3 million toxic ass family members or your people do not want you to have. Man, you're going to leave us because you've been taught in the aspect of unity, if you go, we all go. No, you ain't meant to go here. Clearly, because you're not here. You're not meant to come to this. You're not meant to come to this party. And you got to get comfortable with that shit. You got to get comfortable with that shit that motherfucker's not going to like you. You got to get comfortable with the discomfort of somebody not liking you, somebody not wanting to deal with you, somebody saying shit bad about you, because they've already done it before. You were around them when they were talking about other motherfuckers. The only thing that the difference is their target of attack is no longer that person, but now it's you. But you got to be humble to understand that you're not like the others. So when you start understanding that you're not like the others, but you're wise enough to understand that you're not better than them in one aspect, you're just doing what you just put in more work than they put in. My whole goal process, I want you to surpass me. Every lecture that I fucking do, I want you to surpass me. Get to the level of understanding that the context based on your personal interpretation, and surpass me. Put in the work. Give yourself that bolster of confidence within yourself to go forward. Remove the mask. You don't need the shit. Let them see you as a monster. If they're going to see you as a monster, let them see you as a monster. Embrace your primordial true self. Embrace that shit. Fall in love with that shit. That way, when you get to the level where you can externalize your energy, what comes to you is true, it's in tune with you. That job you want, that house you want, that car you want, that marriage you want, those kids you want, the whatever you're going for, you're already naturally abundant. You're already the natural abundance. You're already the natural wealth. You're already the natural prosperity. You're the natural love, unconditional love that you no longer have to search for it because it's already there, because it's within you. If it goes against your intuition of what you naturally are, then you know when to walk the fuck away. Motherfuckers been shown over and over and over again for this whole fucking period of time. Nigga, it's time to fucking walk away. But there's some good white people. There's some good black people. What if we leave them? How will I ever feel if I leave them behind? Only the strongest fucking survive. They were meant to be sacrificed. That was their purpose. Every time that you do not submit to embracing and embarking your higher self, you mark yourself for sacrifice. You're telling yourself that you've done everything that you could do, and I'm not going any further. I can't go any further. That aspect, that understanding is one of the major keys that until you do it, there's like nothing else gonna come up. Nothing else can happen. Motherfuckers get stuck in limbo all the fucking time. I know motherfuckers that ain't lit one fucking candle, ain't bought one fucking figure, ain't bought one fucking statue, ain't got no fucking bottles, ain't done none of the fucking work. Because they were basing themselves based on being a part of a society or an energy or a space that once that shit shifted, that shit no longer fucking exists. That's what motherfuckers are stuck in right the fuck now. I know, because I have them fucking conversations with the fucking motherfuckers that this is some real fucking shit. The motherfuckers that are going to these ancestors, going to the spirits and going to the orishas and going to talking to these motherfuckers. Oh, with this worship attitude, they getting fucking laughed at. I know, because I'm sitting up there looking, I'm looking down like, this motherfucker really talk to y'all like that? This is how they talk to us? Yeah, they ain't ready for it yet. That's why we keep spoon feeding them shit, of anything. They laugh at you because you trying to make something fit the way you trying to make some shit fit the way you see fit. You trying to take yourself, right? You trying to take you now into the then, into the void. Whatever you take into that abyss, baby, is gonna look right back in your fucking face. Whatever you take into that fucking cave, that's what you gotta fucking battle. So when you look at Beowulf, there's a scene in Beowulf where he says, if Grendel fights naked, then I fight with no armor and no clothes on. He was telling you the aspect, if I'm going to fight a primordial energy, I'm going to fight it on its basis as its equal and nothing less. When I go into these spaces, I do not go in there as nothing more than an equal. I don't go in there as nothing fucking less. There is no fucking disguise. Whether that energy kills me in that fucking space, and if it kills me, it's killing me in that space, and then I gotta go back to, nigga, I wasn't ready for that shit. Or it's going to kill whatever is going to purify me in that fire. I'm purified in that fire. That shit burnt the fuck out of me. What comes out is fucking as pure and clear as this quartz. Don't give a fuck. Never have, never will. I had that mentality unconsciously, but it was based on me being detached from things, so I didn't get connected to things. But now I understand the aspect of what the fuck it meant. Now I can be detached from something in order to protect myself. Because in reflection of protecting myself, I'm protecting whatever is around me at that fucking point in time. I'm not here to protect feelings. I'm not here to protect feelings. I'm not here to protect humanity. I'm not here to protect unity of any sort based on this human level of bullshit. My whole fucking process is burn this fucking shit down. If my mind is burning this shit down, and then I'm surrounded by motherfuckers that are thinking about burning this shit fucking down, and we all on that wavelength of burning this shit down, and we all got the similar and parallel equivalent of understanding what it means to destroy this shit, then that chaos shifts the whole fucking room. You've been in control the entire fucking time. All you gotta do is focus it. That's what it comes to, focusing your shit and manifesting shit. I said it was gonna be hot as fuck today. I didn't even look at the fucking temperature all fucking day. I walked outside. Ooh, it's a little hot out here. There's been times where I got on the fucking bus going to fucking work in the early fucking morning. It was fucking raining. And I stood there. I closed my eyes. I pictured the rain slowing down and stopped and going down to a trickle. And I stood there for about 15 minutes. And I opened my eyes. And the rain slowed down to a fucking trickle. There was another person said there was another. I wish it wouldn't fucking rain. I wish they put a thing over here. So I closed that out zone. I closed away from that thought of wishing on something, and I set the atonement. I can do one better. That's the mindset of you being confident in your craft. Nothing outside of you can do anything to you if it's not within you. This goes into the aspect of a motherfucker can't hex me because it's just gonna reverse. Because I understand the aspects of what energies or what entities or what deities they would use in order to, in the mindset, used to hex me or used to put me under control or bind me under something. So since I understand that energy, 9 times out of 10 is some basic level energy or basic level understanding. So guess what I've already learned how to do? I've already become that fucking energy. I wish a motherfucker would sit here and say, I'm a sick Satan upon you. Nigga, I'm every aspect of Satan. I've already done that shit. I just like the name Lucifer, light bearer, because I'm bearing that light, that information. So I take that in like, ooh, I like that shit. That's why I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that one. That's how you start reversing that shit. That's the aspect of reversing the information. That's the aspect of reversing the process of something going after you. That's the process of reversing Make America Great Again. And now that slogan got so fucking hard, motherfuckers started using that shit. And everybody started putting on hats with Make Africa Great Again, number 1 again, and all the other shit. That small fucking shift made them change the whole fucking slogan to keep America great. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep myself great, baby. Because I understand you have to understand how to manipulate that energy for your own gain. Stop looking at, man, I can't do that, man, because that's motherfucking white people. I ain't going to do that because that's motherfucking Asians. That's the shit they fucking going to tell you to do whatever. All you're telling yourself is you can't do shit without them being in charge. You can't do shit without them being above your fucking head. There's every scene that I noticed in fucking Gotham from when, if you've not seen Gotham, I don't know what the fuck you've been. I can say that now because I did not know where the fuck I was when it first came out. I was in that phase of not watching television and not dealing with a lot of shit. I went through those little phases. I went through the phases that were actually like, nigga, I shouldn't be doing this, and we can't do this, and we can't do that, and doing this because of this, and this. And I was missing the fucking gems that were dropped in that bitch. So every time they had the feminine aspect of energy, the right hand, it was always a black woman. It was always a black woman. Fish, fucking the nigga named Theo, the nigga that became the mayor, his sister. It wasn't until they stepped outside of that shadow and they allowed themselves to die. They died in their truth of what they truly were. And they were willing to die. But we understanding that a lot of these shows are built off of like fucking occultist. The Batman is an entire fucking occult fucking myth from the occult mythos. Meaning it's all about the inside, then going inside. So when you look at every aspect of that, when they showed you fucking, the moment when they showed me fucking, when Alfred said it's a level of deception that you are not ready for. And he played out that deception and set that fucking little white girl, the little blonde girl up with Scotty from fucking Sons of Anarchy and every other fucking movie with other shit, and set her up. And then that last point, when he was sitting there, he was about to die, said, I don't love you. I pity you. But then he turned around and said, I love you, and gave her a kiss. He submitted to the attributes for her to be able to sustain, survive, and live. I was in here excited as fuck. I was geeked. I was like, yes, I love that shit. I like the way that nigga worked. Because regardless of what the fuck it is, I only can admire the motherfucking work. I admire the fucking work. I don't have no fucking enemies. Anything that's perceived to be an enemy, the only way it is an enemy is because I'm acknowledging it as a fucking enemy. So I put on the disguise of the hero, he got to put on the disguise of the fucking enemy. So if that's a villain, I'm the hero. So you set yourself up to be the hero. So some motherfuckers, and this is the basis of some motherfuckers' relationships, this the aspect of you all trying to change some motherfucking mind. The motherfuckers, he's the bad boy, but I can change him. I can see something good in him. Man, she wasn't like that when she was with me. The fear of you wanting to change something in yourself, or the inability or the fear of you not changing something in yourself, as I tap on my seal of Moses. Taking that aspect of that energy and putting it inside of myself. There's nothing outside of me that I need to fucking change unless I'm doing it to myself. If I'm not willing, that unwillingness leaves me from being open to the constructs and the side effects of that change. That's why motherfuckers are infatuated with motherfuckers. That's how niggas get infatuated with girls with fat asses. And then you create that thought for so long. Now you got girls with fake fat asses. Because you denied the aspect of understanding that all of our women were fucking beautiful. So you got attracted to the fat ass. I got a brother right the fuck now was attracted to red bones with stripper booties. Stuck on them. That nigga, what else? Nigga, does she know how to read? Does she know how to write? Does she know how to cook? Does she know how to do anything else? Nah. Man, she got that fat ass. I can order food. Exact words from her. I can order food. I can take care. But when it came down to the motherfucking hard spots in his life, where this nigga was working 2-3 jobs and she was still sitting there and not doing the bare minimums, you got exactly what you set your intention with, baby. You set it up, brother. You set it up, bro, on what the fuck you were getting from her. And now you got to remain in the mask that she came accustomed to and infatuated with in order for her to remain what the hell she's doing. Because the moment that you change, she got to take off her mask. So you want to take off that mask of fucking oppression? When you want to take off the mask of being a hustler, a grinder, this mundane aspect of wanting to take care of your fucking self, and realize it starts saying, nigga, I don't have to hustle because I'm abundant. I don't have to grind to take care of myself because I'm divinely favored in myself. When you don't give yourself that confidence, because when you do that, it changes the whole fucking game. Everything you say, you do, how you move, every transaction that you go through is naturally going to intune shit straight to you. Because you already set the intention, because you set the space, you set the tone. Therefore, instead of you putting your energy into things, you're setting your intention based on the energy. You're just enhancing everything that's naturally a part of you. Now you are naturally the product. You're the byproduct of wealth. You're the byproduct of health. You're the byproduct. You become the byproduct of whatever it is. Because the shit that got motherfuckers locked up is only because a motherfucker told them that's what the fuck happened. Yo, chicken bad for you. Until then, your mom fried chicken, your mother fried chicken every fucking day, and you ate fried chicken every fucking Sunday. So was it bad then? Or was it because somebody told you it was bad? So since that idea went into her mind when they read it and they were still making it, that thought form translated through their fingers and created the dead chick, the evil birds. And after that shit goes on for so long and it's been spread out, now all of it's going to be all of it can be conceptualized as bad. So now nigga, you eat that, man, I can't fuck with you. You eat that right there. Nah. Your energy off because you already eating that. I can tell you why I don't do it. You tell me why you do it, and then that's how we can read. The one thing Malcolm X, I remember the Malcolm X speech, put away everything that is a part of your identity, was basically what he was saying. Take away everything that was basically part of your identity and still stand in the united consciousness of you being what you are. That's the unification within your consciousness, what you are. Coming into the embracing and the knowledge of what you are. I am a God. I am a Titan. I am a chaos being. I'm a celestial being. I'm a celestial. I'm a great old one. I can spurt them shits off. I can tell you exactly which ones I am. I can tell you exactly which ones I resonate with. I use that energy to the tenfold, to the fucking full, and stand by that shit. I guarantee it. I can guarantee the fucking shit works based on you setting your intention and how true to your heart you are. I can tell you why it don't work because you ain't true to your heart. Something inside of your heart something inside of your heart is creating a void within your auric field for that energy not to be able to fully fill the fucking vessel. That's why motherfuckers get mad after they do something and it ain't fucking working. And then they'll say something's happening to them. It's because they've allowed a puncture or a hole so the energy cannot fully fill the vessel. The energy fill my vessel at all fucking times. My emotions are in balance. I'm constantly learning how to balance my emotions better and faster ways so I can teach those methodologies. I'm constantly surrounding myself with the masculine and the feminine aspects of energy and understanding that I've become androgynous because I am a God. That's just the lower level. That's just the creator aspect. So I have that aspect within me. So nothing outside of me, anything that comes outside of me that tries to challenge me to go one side or the other, I can give it a full, distinct reasoning to why I don't allow that to come into myself. I don't wear that disguise no more. I ain't got to be the angry black man. I ain't got to be the angry black guy. I ain't got to do that no more. I ain't got to be the 455 years a slave. That ain't me no more. I got that energy. I got the memory. I got the light. I got the information. I got the light. Take that to the next level. I don't need these things outside of me in that aspect to where I have to continue to create based on the low self-esteem of myself in that space. That level of energy, that level of intent, that level of strength, that level of drive shifts everything around you, and it shifts the entire paramount of what the fuck you do next. Because you ain't got to wear the mask no more. I mean, I'm humbly was gifted with these eyebrows. That's part of my mask. That just came perfect. Like these bitches, I got perfect horns above my eyes. You start to see and understand why things were gifted upon you anyway. Why you were given certain things in the physical content of where you're going to a certain level. you start to embrace yourself on an entirely different fucking level. Once you stop wearing the fucking disguise, wearing what makes you suitable for the other people around you. I could walk outside barefoot, no coconut oil on, and go stand and ground myself. Hold my hands to the sky and do all that shit. Recenter my energy, but it's not based upon, when you get to a certain level, what you want to start doing inner energy work into yourself and you're using your own energy. Everything you do from that moment forward is syncing to what's around you. So you go from a stage of, it was the aspect I always say about the mystery system. The mystery system and the mystery schools was to give you instruction upon the aspects of Set, Thoth, Ma'at, Basset, Ampul, Horus, Isis, all that. You got to a certain point where you're like, nigga, all that's you. And then you went through the process of sinking yourself into those things, becoming those things. So then you went through that process. So the process of me going outside, sun gazing and grounding myself, it's no longer in the aspect of receiving a new download, though now downloads do come. They still come through me doing sun gazing and grounding myself. But it's more in the aspect of me sinking myself to the space in my energy and what the knowledge that I've downloaded from a higher set of myself. It's like, okay, if you look at your chakra system, you have the 7 base joints, right? The 7 chakras, right? Then you have the ones that go into the higher levels. These are colors that you, once they get higher, they're a reflection of you a bit. So once you are mentally invoked and you're sitting on your throne, doing your father's business, as they say, sitting on your father's throne, doing your business, and or you're the sleeping Shiva. You're sitting there you're sitting there waiting for the next thing. When you come back out into this physical plane, or you take your light body and you animate your body out here, whatever you're doing out here now is sinking you to this space. So now that I'm in this space of fuck them kids and this, and my mindset is in that space, my mindset is in that elevation. When I go out and I do something like grounding, or I have a speech, or I'm speaking, or I'm doing whatever I'm doing, it's syncing that, it's giving myself, it's putting a nexus point there to sync to. Because I'm standing on my square. Therefore, every square under me is in alignment with my energy. So everything that comes as this, they are unreal. They're actually better than M&M's. But now my energy is like nuclear fission. So I have this cylinder right here at this level in my mental, and this is further expanded. So it creates, this is how your auric field comes back in tune. This is why you have certain people when they speak or when they're doing something, their energy captures you before you even see them. So everything they do is a captivating thought process or an intriguing thought process, because their energy, their auric field is larger than life. This is the same aspect when you looked at Michael Jordan when you were little, when you looked at cartoon characters, you looked at G.I. Joes, Transformers, all these other aspects of things. When you looked at these aspects, when you looked at these things, they were always larger than life. And you put in every aspect that you big up, you put energy into everything that they were, but it's everything that you weren't. And everything that you weren't was the disguise of yourself in negative that gave charge to them being everything that they are. That's why you'll have a rapper or singer come out and be like, it's all because of you. It's an aspect of something outside of you bringing value to you on an external surface. If you ain't giving it no attention, it ain't got no fucking value. They got to make you think America is the greatest place on the fucking planet. It is. It's the greatest place for destruction. It's the greatest place to be deceptive. It's the greatest place. It's the greatest place on the fucking planet to be whatever you want to fucking be. To be deceptive, to steal, to kill, to go everything against humanity, and then you can put on a mask at the end of the day and say you're an American. That's unconscious external thought process, giving you a disguise to hide under. And then you give it power by living in the fear of I can't do nothing without it. These are aspects of those disguises. As I'm about to go through some notes real quick. I got some notes right there. I tend not to go through the notes because I have the reference points. Because, goddamn. Going through my notes. Something as simple as somebody putting up in one of the pages that I'm in, it just came up. Earl Parker, time to wake up our people to the truth, not the lies, let's debate. Somebody wrote, they put a little meme. It says, Dear Christians, Mark 16, verse 17, chapter 8, or however you read that, says that true believers can drink the poison and be perfectly fine. Please demonstrate your faith before you impose your religion on the rest of us. The interpretation of that aspect, I'm not going to denounce it and say they're fucking crazy. True believers can drink the poison and be perfectly fine. The poison that they're referring to, because that's based upon, everything's based upon the Gnostic text. The poison that they're referring to is the poison that will poison that poisons the ego and the humanity. It's only poison to the physical. It's only poison to the physical aspects of your identity. But if your belief in your true self and your knowing, then you become, anything that you take in, you become the antidote, naturally the antidote too. So someone putting a post like that and everybody's going to argue back and forth, a motherfucker's going to feed off of that fucking energy. Off one side or the other, whatever their belief system and how it trickles down. Me, I can go in there, read every post in there, and feed from the energy of their ignorance of them being separated. I can then choose to either come together and put something that's unifying to them. Why are you arguing and all that shit? And we're all the same people and da-da-da. That's not within me. So I won't speak on that. But I understand the concept of the fearmonger concept of the denouncing of something to debunk something in order to feed from the energy. That keeps it remaining the fucking same. I'm not about keeping anything the fucking same. I'm always about change and elevation. I'm always about evolution and elevation. Always. How I go about it in myself is the reflection of how I go about it in everybody else. I had my consultations are usually an hour. I had a conversation with somebody, and they're one of my clients now. And their knowledge, their intellectual understanding of certain aspects, the thing that we're going to be working on with them is gaining their confidence in clearing their space within, clearing the spaces within themselves to be able to speak at the level that they need to speak at. Because they're really soft spoken and they're really heartfelt, and they got a lot of fear of failure within them. A lot of us have a fear of failure within us because that's what we've been taught from. We've been shown constantly, like, we've been shown this constant narrative of every time that we do some shit, they'll destroy it. Instead of understanding that that's their whole fucking purpose, is to destroy shit. There's motherfuckers in your life right now that their only purpose is to destroy some shit. Destroy what is ultimately your confidence, and you're actually stepping forward to do something even more. But in them destroying that space, because all they can do is destroy the door that's blocking you from walking through. So if I'm standing, and I've done this in dream interpretation before, if something is standing behind me and is arguing points of why I can't do to something, I have to realize that that's behind me. And they can speak that all day back then. But that negative energy now attaches to my positive focus of going forward and helps me move through the door I need to go through. So the motherfucker that betrayed you, the motherfucker that did the dirt to you, they were part of your process. This is how you come into attunement to your alignment. This is how you remove the insecurities. This is how you remove these certain aptitudes outside of yourself that leave you locked in a certain space. Because whatever you bring into those fucking voids, that's what the fuck you gotta fight against. Whatever you bring to the table, you gotta eat. Whether it's poison, what is it? The stuff I bring to my table is poison to motherfuckers that ain't ready for it. There's an aspect when they talk about the aspect of you creating, and there's a feast in hell and everything's rotted. I believe it's in Dante's Inferno. We're talking about the feast that everything is rotted on the table. But everybody that's in that space can eat from it and they don't get sick or anything. This aspect of understanding what this is and moving into that element of yourself, or understanding of yourself, we don't get some.
If only there was a place nearby you could get one of these. Or these.
But when you start understanding that aspect, you realize everywhere you go, you are the poison and the antidote, whatever you speak. If a motherfucker ain't ready, they ain't ready. From there, you always got two choices. Either you can sit there with them on the fucking edge of the cliff and talk them through it, or you can go jump off and fly and show them that they can fly. These aspects of understanding, of removing your mask, will help people get into their ability of actually accepting themselves. Because until I removed my mask, I could not speak because it was always muffled. I visualized my mask as being that mask you had when you were little, and it had that little itty bitty slit, that little dollar store mask. Ninja Turtle had that little slit that if you stuck your tongue out, you cut the fuck out of your fucking tongue. I imagined my mask of my identity being something like that. So I never could quite speak. I only could take in small amounts. But so when I got comfortable in removing this mask, and then my mask became something like the Phantom of the Opera, I covered up my eye. I still was there. I just only could see through one eye. And then I removed the mask, and I had like the little breathing mask on my face. That's the aspect behind the breathing mask. The breathing mask is for submission. Motherfuckers ain't realizing that shit. Like, you'll go put the mask on, you'll submit to whatever the fuck they say. I just go somewhere else. You only submit when it's beneficial to yourself. the submission of you putting on your disguise is to submit to going into your space and do what the fuck you need to do. The whole aspect, whenever I looked at when I look at Jay-Z and I look at how he navigates, he's navigating on his path of light, what he does. The interpretation of understanding is what is meant to be understood, is what is meant to be seen. Not what this person is doing, not what this person is saying, not what this person is doing per se. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad breaks that down in, don't listen to what I say. Don't listen to how I say it. Listen to what I say. I don't want anybody to. That's why when I say something like fuck them kids, or I say something like your mother had to be the crackhead, that's the same aspect that when you listen to fucking Judge Mathis, and that was like big time television being at my grandmother's house. For a lot of us that had the grandmother aspect, Judge Mathis called every motherfucker to come on the fucking show a fucking crackhead. But that motherfucker was the most, he had an intelligence and an intellect to him, and he could break it down. The intellect is the ability to regurgitate and re-speak what you hear. True intelligence is when you're able to take that and break it down into a level to where it can actually be spoken to the masses. You can't do that shit if you ain't humble to your fucking heart. Because if you're not humble of the heart, you're going to sound like a lot of motherfuckers that are using these big ass fucking words and then give you no explanation behind what the word means. I know of one that I can think of off the top of the head, and that's Polite, Brother Polite, because he gives you the word and then he gives you the breakdown of that word. I don't care anything else outside of him. This is the aspect of studying all the follow none. I don't care about any aspect outside of that. I can listen to what he says at certain aspects in all of his information, in certain aspects of his information, because it resonates to a certain point. When that resignation is lost, I can walk away from it, and I have no thought process about anything that this motherfucker did or does after that. I got what I needed. I submitted myself as a student. I listened. I studied. I learned. I got the interpretation. I got the book. I got what I needed. And then I went to go put in work for myself. Motherfuckers get stuck in that aspect of trying to surrender themselves as a student forever. You're always going to be a student. You're always going to be the teacher. At certain points, you're going to be the teacher. At certain points, you're going to be the student. Certain seasons, you're going to be basking in the ambience of all of your abundance and your wealth and your prosperity and your health. And in some level, in certain parts of your season, you're going to be in the aspect of you're going to be learning how to cultivate your abundance, cultivate your health, cultivate your wealth, cultivate your prosperity. That's the ongoing circle. There's no losing and winning. It's either embracing or cultivating. Either you're standing within the knowledge. Either way, on both sides, you're still standing on your square. That's the aspect of understanding. You got to stand on your fucking square when you do this shit. If you're not standing on your fucking square, then the moments that, it got too fucking hard, you're going to look away, and that's when you fall off your fucking shit. That's when they can show you a Trayvon Martin getting shot. That's when they can show you a whole fucking club getting shot up. That's when they can show you that shit. Because you stepped off of your square. You squinted. You froze. They can't see me. Red light. Instead of moving through that shit. Learning how to use that shit. That's what they are scared of. That's what they fear. That's what motherfuckers outside of you fear. They fear you coming into that competent level of you becoming confident in your fucking self. Because when you become confident in yourself, when you become sustained and standing in your self-love, your self-realization, your self-validation, your self-reinforcement in yourself, they can no longer feed from you. Everything goes in reverse. The motherfucker can't say what the fuck they used to say. They used to get under your fucking skin because it don't fucking exist. And then when you start doing that shit in the spiritual and your shadow work in yourself, you start realizing you're doing that shit outside of you with the things that you do inside of your fucking house. There ain't nothing around me that I need in that aspect. There's nothing around me that I gotta go, damn, I gotta go to my mom's house to go get this. I lied. The only thing I go get from my mom's house until I change the address over is my new ATM card for my business, one of my business accounts. That's the only thing I gotta go get from my mom. And that's because I gotta do some other shit. That's other than that. But other than that, everything else is pretty much basic, simple, and plain shit that I gotta fucking put together and do next. I no longer gotta wear the fucking disguise. I remember there was a point in time where I would go to work, and this is how I knew that phase was becoming over, because the more and more I went in as me, the more and more they had to accept it. The more and more I went in as me, the more and more they had to accept it. Because there was no replacing what I did there. They can't replace what you did. They can show you constant clones and copies of your shit, of what you are and what you did, but they can't replace you. So if you keep giving it attention, like, yeah, y'all need me, acknowledge it and move the fuck on. There was a point where at my job. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There was a point in my job where I had this mindset where I didn't like taking days off. I'm not going to take the day off because they need me. I gave myself this superficial or this fabricated thought that I was needed more than I was actually needed. It wasn't until I separated away from that, because the more that you make yourself available and you keep putting on the mask, you keep putting on the cape, you keep putting on your boots, you keep putting on the superhero outfit, the more that space is going to find something to need you for. So as I became more and more separated from my job, I kept hearing the same, since I was becoming more and more separated, and I was creating the parameters of me separating away and why I was separating away. And I made that shit very, very clear. Every time that I cut off days of my schedule or I wasn't working the same amount of days, motherfuckers that was stuck in that space would always come and be like, it ain't the same when you ain't here. Oh, we need you here. You need to work 7 days a week. They need to let you work 7 days a week. They would say things that seemed appealing to my ego, like, yeah, they need me here 7 days a week. That's mad money. After the fact, I was like, whether I work 3 days or 7 days, in this context, I only can make the same 40 fucking hours. I would have to extend myself to make over 40 hours. So my normalcy was, at a point in time, I was making 50, 60 hours a week. At my job, making 50, 60 hours a week. every single week. I was there 6 to 7 days out the week. I was there when the motherfucker opened. I was there when the motherfucker closed. I call myself, giving myself benefits, or I'm not going to shut down when the last ticket sold. I'm walking off the line and do all that shit. I painted this picture. I fabricated these thought processes to give myself a benefit within that space of me doing it. But then I started realizing that in me doing that, that gave them reason to circumvent for me to be there. That gave certain motherfuckers that really weren't going to do they weren't going to do shit, the room to keep doing the same shit that they were doing. So I wasn't getting upset at them because they were doing exactly what the fuck they were supposed to do, based on exactly what the fuck I was doing. I was getting upset with myself for not seeing it sooner. That's the aspect which you start seeing it. You start seeing like the aspect of getting upset with something or saddened or depressed with something is like, why didn't I see that shit sooner? Why didn't I do this sooner? That's what you get upset with. The argument you have with yourself is what you get upset with, not the person necessarily. Not the entity, not the person necessarily. Why didn't I see this sooner? Why can't they get this? Wait, why am I not getting it? They're getting what they need to get. Why am I not getting it? What am I trying to get out of this? It's a straight up thought process that you got to put into your mind. What the fuck am I getting out of this? Me coming over here every fucking day and they talking about the same fucking shit. They talking about this. They talking about all about this. They doing this. They doing this. How about I bring them into a space where that energy don't exist? That way, if I have a conversation with them, now they're in the space or closer to the frequency to understand it. Bring them to my level to defeat what it is to be defeated. Instead of me going down to their level and them defeating me with their experience. This thought process, this paradigm, this shifting of your consciousness, coming into your higher states of enlightenment, the shit that you cannot explain at the lower level. The whole aspect of within enlightenment, you cannot explain it at the level that it spurted from because it spurted from a higher level. That's the only way that you can actually you must, once you become enlightened, you must allow yourself to become possessed by that energy to raise up. That way, the only way you can understand it is at the level that it came from. That inner enlightenment. That inner light. The only way I can explain things the way I explain things and orchestrate and illustrate and with the verbiage and the tenses and not stutter when the spirit ain't kicking in is because I'm coming from the level where it's at or above that level. But then when you make the imaginary lines of the level, I'm at that level. So I can give the books, I can give the information, I can let that shit just flow. There ain't no restriction. I'm not going to sit here and spend 4 hours talking about an oppressor because an oppressor don't exist. And you can tell that in the way that I move. You can tell that in the way that I speak. I speak as if there's nothing oppressing me. I speak with no restriction. I speak with no restraint or ill regard for humanity in any aspect. But I can explain why. I can give you the book. I can give you all the information line by line. I can like, this aspect of this book gonna help you understand this better, but you got to put in the work to have that context. That's the aspect when you remove that mask. I can sit here every single day. I can sit here and do this lecture in my drawers. I'm not. Because it's a certain, once you get to a certain level of understanding of how you do certain things or you move a certain way, you understand why you don't do things. Why you won't speak in a certain way. Why you don't do things in a certain manner. And then you're able to convert that energy or convert that light. I'm able to convert that aspect within to the light of how I speak something, because there's no restriction. A true relationship, the truest relationship that you're going to come into contact with, that sets the paradigm for every other relationship, is the one with yourself. So if my relationship with myself, I'm restricting myself in some certain way, everything that's outside of me is going to be the reflection of that restriction. You dig what I'm saying? But in that same light, so if somebody is speaking, I speak with no restriction, and I speak to somebody and give them that, and we're having a conversation, I'm speaking to them. What's going to light up in them is their restrictions. What's going to light up in them is what is going to try to block or filter through. There's going to be a filter to what I'm saying. That's how people get their perception and their interpretations of what you say, based on their knowing. The way that balance is brought, the only way that balance is brought to that level, to that succession, is if I'm humble to unconditional understanding and they're humble to being open and vulnerable to the understanding. That's how you build that back. That's how you build that bridge. This is how you build the unification based on the mental aspect. I can have the same conversation I have with Boo the Fool that I can have with motherfucking the Dalai Lama. Same conversation. The only thing that's going to change is how it's delivered. The context is going to remain the same, but the delivery, that path of light that I choose to work within, is the only thing that changes. Many lights, one path. I don't wear a disguise so I can see all of the lights. Give it to you the way it needs to be given to you. Say it the way it needs to be spoken. Move how you need to move. Do what you need to do. If it's in the aspect of you taking yourself to the higher aspects of yourself. That destruction, that hatred that you're going to have to build into and take yourself into to remove yourself from the space that you're in, that aspect is going to shift you into the monster that they need to see. It's only to their aspect that they're a monster, that you become a monster. I can't believe you did that. Oh my God, you're a fucking monster. You're fucking evil. You're fucking crazy. Me understanding that aspect, in order to be in this space, James Baldwin said it. You must be in a constant state of rage in order to be conscious in this space. He was speaking on the aspect of being in the constant state of rage, but in balance. He wasn't talking about being in a constant state of the humanity aspect of being angry, the humanity aspect of being depressed, the humanity aspect of being sad. He was talking about in tandem with balance. That's what he was speaking from. He was speaking from the in tandem of balance and the understanding. That's why he could so eloquently speak the way that he spoke, because he was coming from that level of questioning as a child to have understanding as a man. That's the aspect that you're going between. You fighting with your inner child. Your inner child's going to win. Your inner child needs to win. Just like when I was little and my uncle would let me win in checkers until I got to an age where he was like, I can't let you win no more. And I actually had to learn how to play checkers. Same aspect. You're allowed to do what you're doing inside of a certain space based on the constraints of being needed in that space. Once you bypass that level within that space, then you become the negative, or that's how you become the burden. That's how the burdens come onto your heart, because it no longer suffices you, but you still feel that you're not confident enough to move without it. I'm confident enough to move without my mother. I'm confident to move without my father. I'm confident to move without my grandmother. I'm confident enough not to move without them. In the aspect of the physical world. In the transitional world, going into the spiritual world of the living, I'm confident to move without my father because my father is within me. I'm confident to move with the aspects of the energy because the energy is now within me. I have a confidence when I go to these levels, when I go to these levels, trances, realms, channels, downloads, and everything that I do. I have a confidence. That's why I can go to that space. That's your gift. That's your gold. You only can go there if you understand that you, one, are made, that you are gold. Therefore, that's the only way you can create gold. We can embrace the fucking sun because the sun is the physical representation of your soul. So that gives you the understanding of knowing that those without a fucking soul can't stand in that shit. So that gives you the aspect of carbon-based consciousness, thought form. I gave my power to that thought form. That's the only reason it exists. So everything it needs to sustain its existence, I've created. Pull the plug. At this time, we leave the floor open for the questions and questions, thoughts. No such thing as an answer. No such thing as a question. Every question is an answer that hasn't been said. If you didn't tune in, if you haven't tuned in this week yet, from the God Alchemist entity that gives you Papa Lucy every day, every week. God Hour podcast. This episode was Vex, the vibrations peak. The whole aspect of you removing the disguise is understanding that the light, that is the illuminator of sustained fear. Once it peaks, you have a decision. Once you reach that peak, where that light peaks out, and you can see the light where it's at, and it peaks, that fear, that distraction, that ignorance, that lack of that ignorance, the byproduct is sin, that lack of knowledge, that lack of knowing, that lack of confidence in your knowing, in becoming something more. You have a decision to make. Are you going to jump into the unknown and realize it's all you anyway, and allow that shit to burn shit away and get lost within the darkness and learn yourself? Or are you going to recycle back through the fear? Vibrations peak. That's basically what we got into on the podcast. God Hour podcast is available on 8 platforms now. Tune in to tap out. If you are interested and are driven, you have that spark that's wanting you to go to the next level, take yourself into that space of getting to know yourself more. Godical Alchemist LLC.com. That's the official site for all of my services. I'm uploading videos later in next week. I'm gonna start uploading videos for the meditation and elevation. The initial consultation into your becoming, into you tapping into yourself. That's the next. That's it. Got everything from the lighter works of guided meditation, tapping into yourself, and understanding the mantras and reprogramming, all the way into the shadow work sessions where we sit there, talk back and forth, and we're pulling out of you what you want to pull out into that space. Everything's confidential between us. sign the paperwork. Everything's confidential. Everything's basically confidential between us. It's I'm giving it's that space for you to actually get that shit out. So anything you want to do on there, gotta go alchemistllc.com. Everything's in the description of this video of this lecture. You can email me, setcarlonegus@gmail.com or papalucy@gmail.com. What I'm trying to do is the Set Carlonegus is more for the business aspect. So if like you have an idea, or you want to show your support, or you want to build a business relationship, booking for lectures and everything in that aspect, that's the Set Carlonegus Gmail. The Papalucy 666 Gmail, that's for the personal questions, personal thoughts, insights, things that you want to hear more on, things of that nature, so I know how to gauge and what I go through next. Or you can hit the line directly at 910-777-7708. 910-777-08. Drop a text, drop a voicemail. If I'm with a client or if I'm doing something else, I will try my best to get back to you in the order of which your call was received. Or you might just want to send a text. I'm putting together a automated text thing joint. And that's going to be on the aspect of like this, waking your ass up, getting your ass. You're going to look at your phone and be like, damn, nigga, that's exactly what I needed. The code alchemy at shopify.com is fully live and direct. All of the prints, I got a lot of different. I'm waiting on my samples to come in now, but I got a lot of different things on there for the light to the dark. You can embrace your light in your darkness. It's all you. So I got that on there. Called alchemy at shopify.com, and of course for support and donations, to show you that support in those donations, greatly appreciated. Humbly appreciate those, because it gives me the ability to once again further be able to create and do exactly what I'm doing in the aspect of growing in the paradigm of growing, putting out that knowledge. So all of it is basically, as much as it's support to grow myself, it's also support it to growing you. That's the whole aspect of everything that I do. My whole paradigm is not to leave you in this aspect of, damn, he said something so fucking smart and I'm fucking stupid. No. I'm letting you know that your ego is dumb and your humanity is an idiot. Because human thought is the void. Human thought is the ultimate sin to your soul. The only sin that exists. And sin is the byproduct of ignorance, meaning lack of knowledge. So the more knowledge that you lack, the more that that's the only sin that you actually commit. Not learning from what's been brought, not learning from what has been put directly in front of you to learn from, based on your moral compass and tradition that was put into your mind, is what has you set up the fucking way you got set up. Yes, ego is very hard to conquer. It's only as hard. It's similar. Like every time I talk about the abyss, your ego is deeply rooted in everything that created you. The first step is understanding what to let go of. It's not going to be this aspect of, I'm going to do this, but I can keep this and I can keep that. This is a burning sale when it comes to your ego. Everything that deals with your ego and humanity is going to be put on a burn. It's like a burning sale. everything has to go within it. And in this aspect, you're letting go of the aspect of the feeling or the burden, and you're remembering the lesson. Because until you truly understand something, you can't let go of it. And the levels of understanding is you're building that space above what it was for you in that space. So I always use this similar analogy when I talk to my clients. The thing that you loved the most about your mother, why did you love it? The thing that you hated the most about your mother, father, or something in your life, why did you hate it? What did both of those things teach you? Once you're able to give an answer to yourself that is true of your heart, and we work on that process through breathing and meditations and visualization. Once you're able to do this, you can fully let go of it. Because once you start letting go of it, this is what happens when you start letting go of your ego. Everything that your ego used in resistance, it will start showing up, and it doesn't look the way it used to look. Like, I remember the first time I looked at my pops, and I had this deep-rooted hatred for my pops. And the reason I had this deep-rooted hatred for my pops was because of what he stood for. Until I was able to separate from what he stood for to why he stood for it, that became the aspect of me understanding and having unconditional love for my pops. My pops stands for Jesus like nobody's business. So for myself, in the same retrospect, on that same plane, in this plane, I stand by awakening in the occult and alchemy and being a god and being a titan, embracing my energy, allowing myself to be embarked and invoke my energy. The same way he stands for his shit is the same way I stand for my shit. That's the understanding of why I didn't like him. That became the tether of understanding of why he was put there in that space, why I chose that energy, that entity to be there in that space and that thought form. Because it taught me to stand in my shit. Only one thing can happen after that leaves that open and ended. My pops will say this over and over and over again. I may not like what my children do, but I love my children. That comes with a level of understanding to a common basis that can be worked upon on anything else can be worked upon. Whatever options, whatever differences, it doesn't matter. It's open-ended. I know at the end of the fucking day, if my old man called me and say he needs the yard cutter, he needs some trees pruned down, I can go over there and do that with him. So I'm removed from the need or the want, and I can create the tether. I can create the pathways as I see fit. Because I'm not stuck in the aspect of, damn, if I don't do this, then they're going to say this, or they're not. I don't care about that. That's truly not giving a fuck. That's the hardest thing of conquering, because the aspects of yourself of what you got used to doing, that's what your ego still wants to feed upon. Because your ego is like, that doesn't happen and this doesn't happen and they don't do this and they don't do that and they don't do this, but them over there do that. Why do they? This takes you to the understanding. Why do they do that over there, but that's void over here? Why does it seem to be the void over here? It's not void over here because You won't come to a space if what you need is not there. The only way that you understand what you need is actually there is because you have to shift your mindset out of what you are used to based on your identity, based on what you got, on what you wanted off of the aspect of using what you had. You go into a new level, you got to use something else. You got to use something else to conquer that door. That door got a code to it. That code is biometrically programmed to you, but it's not programmed to your identity, so it can't read your identity. That door, I use this visualization a lot. The door that you're going to go to, you can put your finger on it and it can accept it, but the biometric is also based on your eye. It is not based on your physical eyes. It's based on this eye. It's based on your third eye, your pineal gland. So if that's just not illuminated, or that's just not being seen or not being nurtured, then it don't matter how many times you step towards that door and put your handprint or put your fingerprint or you speak the tone you need to speak. If it's not coming from a balance or a set of you being humble to that door, you can't get through. And your ego be like, see, that shit don't work, but we can go over here and party with them all day. That's the aspect of understanding your higher self, removing the mask. That's why when I set the program new, and I say it's okay not to do nothing, it's okay not to respond, it's okay not to share yourself, it's okay not to do these things, and you speak this mantra to yourself, you speaking in an atonement to yourself, it's helping you remove the mask. It's okay for me not to leave my house. It's okay for me not to leave the house. It's okay for me not to shave. Even though tomorrow when I wake up first thing in the morning after do my little business, I'm gonna shave and keep myself lined up because that's a personal effect for myself. I don't shave for anybody else. I don't detox for anybody else. I don't shave for anybody else. I don't do none of the things I do for anybody else. It's solely for me in my self-growth, in my path to growing and further enlightenment. Therefore, it's not a mask that I put on only to show in front of other people. So everything that I do, whether in front of my mother, in front of my sisters, in front of friends, in front of anybody I'm around, it's the same motherfucking person. The only thing that changes is their perspective based on the memories, based on what's intent within inside of them that makes them comfortable within that space. But eventually, this shit becomes so uncomfortable that they won't want to share that space. That's cool. They don't have to share that fucking space. That space isn't for them. Whatever's meant to be within that space, whatever meant to be within that realm, whatever meant to be within that alignment is going to be there automatically. Everything else is going to fall away. Even this disappears. The Book of Thomas within the Gnostic Bible. Even this is going to disappear. That's what Jesus told Thomas when he was standing on the mountain. His conscious, his subconscious told the conscious. That's every time you see the aspect of Jesus, that's you. This is the aspect motherfuckers get stuck on. If you denounce Jesus, you denounce your subconscious. Because your subconscious is programmed to do whatever you want it to do. That's why Jesus spoke in the parables, and he spoke the line of, don't be me, you can be better than me. Because you subsede the thought based on your physical manifestation being the Christ energy. These aspects, these thoughts, these paradigms, these shift you into your higher self of enlightenment. And certain shits are going to start falling the fuck off. Because you don't need to wear the mask no more. The mask has no power. That was the aspect that you looking at Jim Carrey's The Mask. The nigga took the mask off, he was Imkus. He put the mask on, he was a motherfucking monster. All the mask did was enhance his true self. It wasn't until he took it off he realized he didn't need the mask to begin with. These aspects within these storylines is what tells you everything about yourself every single day. They tell you that they know you. They tell you what you need to do, and then they give you distractions so you don't need to do it. They create the chaos, and then they give you the answer. They create the drug, they create the poison, the virus, and then give you the cure. Or the sustaining of the virus within inside you. That's their whole aspect of it. You just got to understand that, nigga, I don't need that, and I don't need that. But how did that come to being? That came to being because of this. And based on me being here is the reason that came into connection. So without me being there, shit don't exist. It can be there. McDonald's can be up the street from my house right now, every fucking day. I don't need McDonald's no more. So that's just almost invisible to me. The only time I notice it is if I'm sitting at the stoplight and I'm looking straight across, waiting for the light to change, then I'll see the McDonald's. Other than that, it no longer serves me a purpose. Therefore, it's invisible to me. It's invisible to me. It's become invisible. The physical world becomes more and more invisible to me every single day. The constraints that leave me locked into the physical world become less and less conducive in being able to control me every single day. That's the aspect of your ego dying. Because your ego can only refract upon something that is already within inside of you. Your ego only can refract and bounce back to your physical eyes to see, and even to your third eye to see, based on what is still inside of you. I am self, I am law. I am a God. I am the power. I am a force to be reckoned with. I am strong as the hurricane. I am gentle as the summer breeze. You got to be both. You have to understand the Quiloth, the Quiloth, which is the tree of knowledge, through Doth, to understand the tree of death is the reflection of everything that you change there. Once you have the knowledge and you obtain that knowledge into yourself, the mask that is revealed into that physical world is everything based on the reflection of your knowledge. Before we get out of here, any other questions? Anybody got a question? Anything they want me to relevant? Because as you can see, I go depth into every fucking question, and we don't need time. Fuck you mean? Tacos and rice and beans. Yeah, I love tacos. Tacos and rice. $970 fucking messages off from Instagram. But yeah, gotta call Alchemist. You know, every Friday night we do this. Every Tuesday at 6 a.m. I drop God Hour podcast. This week's episode was Vibrations Peak, which led perfectly into removing that wasted in disguise, that mask. Understanding that we got to go through that. We have to leap from that peak of that fear to actually tap into your higher self. We're going to keep getting deeper, of course. We're going to keep getting into this because that's the main purpose of what you're supposed to be doing. But yeah, share, subscribe. You ain't subscribed, share. Let the knowledge do what it's supposed to do. If you ain't confident enough in doing it yet and ruffling them feathers, oh, please, 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 please. I'm humbly obliged to do it for you. And I'm also humbly obliged to teach you how to do it. But I love you all. I truly do. Because we love us. And that's all that matters. You filthy animals. Peace.